we are live. I want to make sure that we're actually live on YouTube though, because
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
you're on it. Okay, wonderful. You're more techie than I am. All right, guys, welcome back to another Mary Truth Talks, and we are with Cameron. We're gonna be talking about a lot of cool things today. Before I plug in Cameron's TikTok account, I'm gonna plug in mine. Not TikTok though. I'm not a fan of TikTok. Maybe Cameron will slowly persuade me, him and Jackie. So on my Instagram account, for everybody who wants to know what I'm thinking about on a daily basis, is Mary_Truths, and my wellness page is MB Elevate. So M as in mind, B as in body, elevate. And Cameron, what's your TikTok? Plug in.
Shit.
He's like, I don't know, what is it? I think I had a Cam underscore or something.
Yeah, Cam underscore the underscore ham 3.
What is
called? Yeah, is that Cam the Ham? Let me find it. How do I?
Is there a story behind that? I feel like there's a story behind that.
There was when I first came in the Army back in 2014. One of my friends in the AIT, or the tech school that we go to for our jobs. It was either Cammy Lammy or Cam the Ham. So then Cam the Ham just kind of stuck for a while. Because Cammy Lammy, that some people say it, but I just kind of like trying to push that one aside because it's harder to explain.
Cammy sounds kind of gay, so yeah, Cam the Ham sounds better. So you said I know that you're active duty, but I didn't get to ask you when we were on the phone the other day. Like, how long has it been already since you've been in the service?
I came in April of 2014, so a little over 10 years now. And I came in as a broadcast engineer. It was the MOS used to be 25 Romeo. I don't think that job exists anymore because of just the way the technology has advanced. But did that for 5 years and then switched over to being a medic in the Army. So now I'm just a paramedic in the Army.
Is that what you want to continue doing, or?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why I thought you were going to say something else. Like, I'm going to be a doctor eventually or something. No, medic. All right. That's like
if I can go farther, I will. I'm in a course now to up the amount of things I'm allowed to do.
Okay.
And hopefully that keeps going well. But if not, if I can't progress more as a medic, then I'll have to either go to the Army's physician assistant program, or get out of the Army and then go to school and then come back in and commission, so I can have similar responsibilities, get more than double the pay.
Okay, that's always better.
Yeah.
More money is always better. So you've been in it for 10 years, so it's clearly a career path. So are you planning on indefinitely, staying until, you want to retire, or?
Yeah, I need to do at least, I need to somehow do at least I think it's 18 and a half years now to be able to retire, and you still to get your full pension. But you can do that either through just maintaining your active duty status the whole time. Some people will shift over to the National Guard or the reserves in order to. It takes longer to complete your pension time that way, but you can if you want more of a family life or more of a structured family life, you can do like that way. Some people will but I would like to just be able to straight shoot it the way through. That way, it's less time, and I can start my pension before I'm 40, and then still be able to work a job and supplement my income and that way.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh, cool. We're around the same age. I'm literally about to turn 29.
Oh, there we go.
Don't feel it though. Like, I feel it, but I don't feel it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel it now though. I wake up and I groan before I get out of bed, and I roll over and just like got the joints hurt, my back hurts.
Okay, well, I'm not there. Thankfully, I'm not there. Thank God. I exercise every single day of my life, and I'm hoping that I don't get there until way later down the line.
Yeah.
But why do your joint? Don't you guys like train? Since you're still in it, or is that not a thing when you're?
No, we do a lot of training still, but sometimes like it's fairly sometimes the physical conditioning in the Army is antithetical to what like good sports medicine people would, or
for sure,
would tell you to do.
Yeah.
Hey, go put on this 60-pound bag and we're gonna go 12 miles real fast. I'm like, oh, okay, that's very bad for you. They're like, yep. Anyway.
I mean, but it's you're right. There's no Yeah, there's no limits really when you're in the military, I guess, physically. But it really boosts your mental strength, I think.
Yeah, it's well, for a lot of people, yeah. Some people it's kind of harder. I think it's you're kind of forced, regardless of how long you're in the service for, to figure out whether or not you're a mentally resilient person, and if you're not, you have to kind of figure out how to become one.
I mean, but that's awesome though, because then it weeds out the weak. At least I would think so. You know, if you're gonna be a soldier, you better be fucking mentally fit.
Yeah,
If not, you're not cut out to be one. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's there's a bunch of jobs. I think that generally you should be of a certain mental fortitude or mental, spiritual, and emotional and physical fortitude. But sometimes it's like depending on what the job is, I may not need someone. I may not need a super soldier to do certain jobs.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Not every. Yeah.
I just need a guy to be able to run cables, and I don't care. It's like I would like it if he'd be able to pass his test. But if he can't, I just need to be good at his job. That's fine. I'll take it. Uh,
Yeah, I have a friend he's on that mentality. He's like, yeah, no, I would try to skip PT as much as possible.
Oh,
I was like,
we all
why?
have to do it together. It's off. I hate it. I love working out on my own and just like doing my thing and staying in shape that way. But
Yeah.
like when it's you all have together in the Clover Summit now, there was a part where we all had to work out together, and for like 5 weeks of the block of training. And so it was the physical conditioner we had, or the PT coach that we had from this really cool program called Thor 3. They just help you maintain your physical fitness while you're in some of these longer courses.
Cool.
And like they teach you different ways to work out. But he wanted things done a certain way, and then one of our NCOs was out there, and he was like, "Hey, you guys aren't doing it up to snuff along with when you're doing the jumping jacks, which are very bad for your shoulders." It's
Really?
He's like,
Jumping jacks are bad for your shoulders?
Jumping jacks are so bad for your shoulders. That's why now it's even in the Army fitness regulation handbook, you do half jack, so you come out this way, but raising your hand to this all it does is put strain on, and you don't get anything out of it. And so like doing jumping jacks, if you just stop your arms here, you get the same amount of work out of it without the risk of like throwing something out of place up here. Especially with how fragile that like your clavicles are that hold up your shoulder girdle. Sometimes depending on how injured or uninjured someone is, or sometimes you can just come down a little too hard, and you can knock that out of place and like pop your clavicle out or snap it. I had a guy doing kettlebell swings one time. We were all as part of a workout, and he went up and he was doing it up, bring it up, and we were doing the switch hand catch. And then he did that, and it was just like one of those like 1% chances, and it snapped his clavicle when he was coming back down. Just working out on like a Tuesday morning before 7 o'clock.
Fun
So
time.
by 8, he was in the hospital.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, but back to talking about the conditioning, it was so it was like there's at one point it's a group of just 40 grown men of varying stages of their military careers, just aggressively clapping their hands with every jumping jack we were doing. That way they knew we were doing it correctly.
I remember having to do that when I was. Did Jackie ever tell you how we like got close?
No.
Oh my god, this is so much fun. If she's on the live with us, I would love to see her comment on what I'm going to say right now. So, Jackie and I met when I was a junior in high school, because before that we didn't know each other.
Mm.
So, I'm trying to multitask and I'm failing. So when I was a freshman and sophomore year, I was into dance. I was really artsy fartsy. I was drawing and I was into dance. I was like my main thing. And then I got tired of that junior year because I didn't want to like make it a professional thing. So I was like, what's the point of me doing this if I'm not gonna like take it seriously?
Yep.
And then I decided to just join JROTC, and I had her ready for classes, but I didn't know she was in JROTC. So when I went in, she was like, "Oh my God, you're in JROTC," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I liked the idea of the whole PT thing because I was already working out since I was like 13. I've been working out, and she knew I was like a workout nut, so she was like, "Oh, this is gonna be, you're gonna love this." And then she was in Raiders. And she told me to join, and I was like, okay, cool. I don't know what the hell Raiders was. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a club and then it's like a military, I guess, club, and then you do like I don't know how you would call it, like little, I guess, military junior type workouts, and then you compete with other schools on like who does the fastest 5K and who can like do the fastest knots, and then because you would have to do like certain things that or like who can pull the Humvee the fastest or whatever. And then there was like a girl team and a guy team, and she told me to join, and I was like, okay, cool. So I joined, and Sergeant Mike, that was our sergeant at the time. I don't know if he's still alive, but he's amazing. He inspired the shit out of me. So he already knew that I was really athletically inclined, better said. So he was like, oh, you should try out to be like the commander or whatever. And I was like, no, I've never led anything in my life. I was like, at least not seriously, I've led like dance teams and stuff, but because they told me to, and because I was just easy, it was easy for me to create choreography now, but nothing along this like, this is totally different. This is me telling you what to do. Totally different. So the girl that was actually the commander at the time, she decided that I should be the one to be commanding it. And I was just like, oh shit. So like now I have no choice but to do this. So because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, I'm just good at training, but I didn't know how to like train others. Jackie was like my right hand man, and she was the one that would kind of like get the girls to listen to me, because girls are vipers. Like they really don't, when there's a girl that I guess is more I don't know how you would call it, I guess more disciplined, or like maybe kind of it seems kind of threatening to other girls, they try to like fight to kind of lower and submit you. And she would be the one to be like, shut up, listen to her, she's the one who's the fastest, she's the strongest, she knows what the hell she's doing, just shut up and listen to her. And I was like, thank you, Jackie, because I was not that type of person at all. I was very kind of like, I just wanted to get along with everybody, I wanted everybody to get along with me, and now I'm actually not like that at all. It was funny how things work out. But Jackie was actually the one that was like, I don't care if I'm the bitch, but you need to listen to her. Yeah, she is a bulldog. So that's how me and her met. It's crazy. That little fucking thing. Yeah, she's a little fucking thing, but I'm taller than her and I'm short. I'm 5 feet tall. So, but no, she was my right hand for like the entire time I was doing that for junior year and senior year. And we got like first place and second place. And we had never gotten first and second place ever, much less in the girls team. So I was like, yeah, I really want to do this. I realized I was like, leadership was like something natural, I guess. And I liked it. But the idea of leaving to join the military and leaving my family behind was rough. Cubans were not like, the whole like leaving the nest doesn't really like exist. Americans usually like at 18, like you're out, do your thing, go to college, like Cubans are not like that. We stay tight knit. I don't know how other Hispanics are, but me as a Cuban born in that island is totally different. So my parents weren't very like, yeah, go to the military. They were like, no, don't go. What if you die? Like all the negative things you can possibly think of. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't go. And then I remember senior year is when that movie came out, the Benghazi movie.
Oh, 13 hours?
Yeah, like that really traumatized me. So I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I was like, yeah, maybe my parents are right. Maybe I don't want to do this. And then I also thought I really thought logically about it. And I was like, I'm not obedient, like naturally. I'm not an obedient person. I don't like being told what to do. Mm-hmm. I don't like being screamed at. So like all those things, I was like, that's gonna happen, and no, I'm sorry, I can't. I was like, because the idea of the military was cool because of the training. That's what I like. That's what I fell in love with, was that. But everything else, I was like, yeah, no, I can't. That's not my vibe. I like the idea of serving my country, but I can serve it in a different way. I don't think
there's so many different ways to support like the country or like the local community or the community, the larger community. It's military service is just one way to do it.
Exactly. I was like, to those who do it, kudos to you. I take my hat off for everybody who does it, including you. Thank you for your service and for serving us. 10 years is like no joke. So that is amazing, because you're doing it for me and for everybody who's like me that cannot do it. So because
Thank you.
yeah, because it's not an easy task to do for sure. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Like, all I can see are movies, and I cry and stuff when I see stuff like that. So I can only imagine you guys. So how did you what made you want to join?
I was growing up in high school. I was I didn't have like a direction at all. After I graduated, I took a year to just I actually moved down to Tampa where my dad lives. Was around there for a year, just trying to figure out what I wanted. Flew back to Oklahoma, and then I think I was just in the mall and walked by the office. I was like, yeah, why not? Went in there.
That's crazy.
And like 2 months later, I was gone.
That's wild. But you know what? A lot of people go in for that, and then they end up loving it. So that's cool.
Yeah, got hooked up with they gave me like a little bonus for going to airborne school, jump school, and then so I've got to did that. My first, like I said earlier, my first MOS was the 25 Romeo broadcast engineer. So that was like a 7-month long training up at Fort Meade, Maryland, and then went to jump school down at Fort Benning, which is called something else now. I can never remember.
They changed the name of Fort Benning to something else?
I think so.
Are you sure? Because I know Fort Bragg is now Fort Liberty, which is like, why would you change Fort Bragg to Fort Liberty?
Yeah, it ended up being Liberty. They wanted to name it after a general. But the two greater commands we have here, which is the 18th Air Corps, 18th Airborne Corps, it's like the one that has the blue square patch with this cool ass dragon in it that says like airborne. You have that command, but you also have the special operations commands settled here. So it's like they couldn't come to terms with how it should be named after someone, one of those communities or another. So they had to settle on Liberty.
Liberty. I don't know why that just doesn't. It doesn't.
Above a certain at a certain level, it's above my pay grade.
No, obviously, no. I know. It's just like, ugh, why? But I don't know why I went to Fort Benning. I went to Fort Benning with Jackie, actually. I think it was junior year, senior year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went because, like, our colonel, like, has, like, I guess, like, some type of relationship with, like, the head honchos over there. And so they allow us to go as, like, a field trip over there to, like, the people that actually do want to join, know what it feels like or whatever. So we're there for, like, I think it was, like, a weekend or something. That was another reason why I was like, hell no. Yeah. I was like, nope, I'm sorry, that's not the life I want to live. The idea of having to wake up early in the morning and make my bed like at 4 a.m, I was like, yeah, no. And then having to shower with girls and I can see them naked in front of me, like there's no. Yeah, no. I like transparency, but that's a little too much transparency.
Yeah, there was the stories we would get. I went to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and the stories that we would get out of the Women's Bay about just like the goings on that would happen there. It was just like I thought I knew a bunch of things about women. I didn't. No. I mean, some girls are, they're wild and they like all that lifestyle, but I'm not that wild. Oh, believe it or not. Believe it or not. It's that's. Yeah.
By any chance,
we just be wrestling in the guy like in our bays, like.
Well, that's guy shit, that makes sense. But I don't know. I can't see girls like doing. We gossip. That's what girls do. By any chance, guys like gossiping.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I find that weird.
It just comes off. It's more just like, oh, haha, that guy said that. He's, I don't know, dumb. Guy gossip, like guys like to gossip just as much as women do. It's just canted a little bit.
Okay, I mean, girl gossip is kind of toxic, so I'm like, I can't relate. By any chance, do you have a mic?
I don't have. I can. I don't know if plugging one in. I have a gaming headset. I can try to plug in.
My editor is asking me if there's a mic.
Let's see. Tell you what, I think I have one in the living room. Let me check real quick.
Okay.
Oh God, my back.
Interact with your chat. All right, let's see who's on this chat real quick. Let's see who's on the chat. I know Jaxers is on the chat. Guys, I appreciate you for watching, supporting, helping me grow.
85 subs.
Yeah, I see. 87 subscribers, guys. That is freaking amazing.
All right, so I'm not a super big tech guy, so
Neither am I, so it's all right.
I have a mic that connects to a GameStop headset. I don't know what to do after that.
Yeah, I mean, let's try it out. We're gonna try this out, see if it works.
Because he sounds very echoey.
Oh my God, you smell Brandon's. Bro, why you gotta put that out there, bro? Why you gotta put that out there? Oh God. I can't believe you put that out there, man, because now I have to explain that story. Jesus Christ. That's bad. Brandon is, I don't know if Jackie remembers Brandon, but Brandon actually is still serving. He's a year younger than us, but me and him were always competing because I'm super competitive and I was always competing with guys. And I don't know why. He was like, bet you won't smell my armpits. And I was like, bet you I will. And I smelled his armpits, and then everybody saw that. So now, like, you know, people are gonna remind me over and over again how I smelled Brandon's armpit. Last is like, gross. Yes, bro. Like, what do you want me to do? It's out there now.
Oh, you didn't lick it.
Yeah, I didn't lick it. No. I just smelled it. I'm glad I didn't lick it because if he would have dared me to do it, my dumb ass would have done it too, just to prove a point.
Right. Yeah, just stop talking. Just stop talking.
Hey man, I was very daring. That's a better word to say.
It's too complicated. Don't worry about it.
I feel like everyone can have a lot of fun doing stuff like that. It's just when someone else talks about it later, like, hey, that was for us. That wasn't for everyone.
You sound good. Does he sound good? No?
No, his mic's not on yet.
Oh, his mic's not on yet. Okay, just kidding. JK.
He
He casually said, smell my armpits, and you, without thinking, just did it. Whatever, bro, okay? I had brass back then. I had courage back then. Okay? I was just trying to prove a point.
Sometimes you got to.
You know?
I think he sounds worse now.
Oh, man. I
I had this headset that I got for the.
I like that collection you have over there of Star Wars. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I got the Clone Trooper helmet, the original Stormtrooper helmet, and then like the Stormtrooper helmet from the new trilogy. I forget what they're called.
I don't know what any of that means that you just said. I just know it's Star Wars. That's it.
Bunch of nerd shit.
Yeah.
May the force be with you.
Laz is like, may the force be with you. Yes, most definitely. I think I like.
Plugged in here. Is it popping up on the microphone away?
You already plugged in the mic?
Yeah.
So you should go to his audio options.
Okay, so Laz says to go to your audio options.
Yeah, I'm in the system sound.
Ooh, that is loud. All right, speak again.
I opened up my computer settings. I'm in sound now. Down to input. I have microphone away, and I have the Realtek audio. Well, they're both Realteks. I could grab my gym headphones and bring those in. I think that those come through a little bit clearer. Do you want me to try that?
That's fine.
He says that's fine.
Just
Let it be.
Complicated,
Yeah. He was trying to be a.
No, he sounds very echoey, so I thought the mic would make him sound better because you sound great.
Okay. Well, it's okay. There's always next time.
We live and we learn.
It's fine.
Exactly. Live and learn. What was I talking to you about?
You licked his armpit.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about the fact that I smelled armpits. All right, we get it. I did it. I
We can
did
talk about that
it.
all
Jesus
day long.
Christ,
Was
we
you-
did
Was you
it,
just close to it, or you all the way in there?
bro. I was in there, man. I was in there. Okay, it was so
Oh.
in there, and I don't even know how many people still remember that. Clearly, a couple people still remember that shit. So, God, terrible. This is why you can't do things. You can't, you can't be too public because then people use shit against you.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's why I'm writing a book about all the skeletons in my closet, because if I decide to ever run for Congress, you can't use anything against me because I wrote it in a book. Read the book. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I'm writing the book because you never know,
That's true. Just have like a memoir, just a running one you can update, like on Wattpad or on like AO3.
It's not really a memoir. It's more like it's not a fictional book because it's based on a true story, but it has fictional characters because obviously I can't put everybody's name except mine, So obviously it's my story, but
Right.
I can't put anybody's real name, so it's fictional.
I get that. Okay, that's really cool. Is it? How far into it are you? How far into it are you now?
I'm like 1/8 of a way in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have like an arc story that you're going through yet that you've already kind of planned out? Or you just kind of get feeling as you go.
It's a story that I went through when I was in adolescence. So the book is called Adolescence.
Oh, that's a cool ass name.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm already imagining it, so you gotta imagine it to manifest it, right? So
It'll be in Barnes and Noble in no time.
heck yeah, Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, everything. I'm already picturing it now.
There we go.
Yeah, dude. Is that good? All right, cool. Yeah, because the editor's like, higher. Yeah, you let me know, because I can't hear myself. That's why I see why people use.
No, you sound good. It's him that I
Oh, okay, that makes sense. He's like, put the mic higher because they can't hear you in the
The
thing.
mic higher.
Not your mic, my mic. You're good.
Oh.
I mean, you can put his little.
Well, if you want to put yours a little higher, yeah, go for it. That way they can hear you through my mic.
That work? Is it better? I don't know. I'm bad. This used to be my job. This used to be part of my job.
That's
I can't
good.
do anymore.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's crisp. Okay, so I actually want to talk to you about because you told me when you were on the phone with me that you went to Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, I've been to 3 deployments that are overseas. The first 2 were to our main. We would start in Qatar, but then like whatever mission set they would need, whatever our specialized little configuration was at the time, they would shoot us off of there. So I've been to Afghanistan, been to Syria, a little bit in Jordan just to teach them how to use some stuff that we were giving them. That was kind of cool, and not so cool. And then the last deployment was with the last unit that I was in, called SFAB. It's like the Security Force Advisory Brigade, and that one's just instead of that unit got established that way we can go and train other people that we're partnered with in the UN, or just through like other cooperative international agreements. Instead of having to send like a battalion of people, we can send a team of like anywhere between 6 to like 14 people to help them learn how to do like one specific thing. So my last deployment was just doing that in Tunisia in North Africa.
Oh, wow.
Along the Mediterranean. It was really cool. We were there for 6 months and just helping them, or just kind of helping teach them little ways to tweak what they were doing to bring it more in line with like the international community and a little bit closer to how we operate. That way, near the end of the time there, we did a joint exercise with a Marine Expeditionary Unit, an MEU, and the Tunisian forces and some of the I believe it was a reserve unit from California, I believe, if I remember correctly. But we're all there to work together. So you had the American Army, you had the American Marines, and you had the Tunisian Army and the Tunisian Marines all working together in a big, cool live fire exercise. It was really cool to watch.
That's cool. And then, as far as Afghanistan, how was that experience?
The first time was uh, the first time was more kinetic than the second trip. That was back in 2016. So
Good
things
choice of
were
words.
yeah, things were a little bit of a higher tilt back then. The second time I went was in 2018, which was like fairly shortly afterwards. But it was I was instead of just being I was a small section leader at the time, so it was more just like kind of like moving people where they needed to be or where they needed to be to get a job done, and less of like going out and doing a thing. And it's like I'm not like a big I'm not a cool guy or I was or anything while I was there. I was a communications guy at the time, so I was just there to do my thing and then get out because guns are scary. They're scarier when they're pointed at you, even from like a really long distance away. There are a bunch of guys in the service that really enjoy that feeling. Uh, I don't. It's not great, but
Yeah, I mean,
it was pretty cool.
they don't care what color you are or what you represent or where you're
Yeah,
from or yeah, they
yeah,
they're not biased at
yeah, it was.
all.
Yeah. They didn't really care. It's the way I look at it is it's like we're in their backyard. I would be upset too, regardless of like the overall reasons. Like if I look up and I see a big group of dudes that shouldn't be in my backyard, I'm gonna be upset. Especially like it's like when you have one thing happen in one place. It was I think the old adage was like if you like during the surge, way back in the early 2000s, there was someone that said like if you uh, you take out one guy, you created two more because like of the family. So it was just we were there long enough there to just be generational hatred for us, which is it sucks. It was understandable. So it was like I've always been like, hey, let's do what we need to do and let's get the fuck out because I'm pretty sure that guy is upset about what the last group did, but he doesn't care that we're not the last group. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a yeah.
So I mean, you weren't there when they did the whole withdrawal, but
No, I wasn't. It was one of my friends was there. I used to be in the same unit as Jackie, the psychological operations, but we were support people for that. So it was like it wasn't like a sly operator or anything. But it was just helping them and then the greater First Special Forces Command do anything they needed to do over there. Just with the little roles that we could fill. So sometimes it would range from anywhere from like going and broadcasting of like, hey, like we'll go and broadcast like you guys should probably if you're in this area and you want to have want to be able to hit up Yom Kippur later on, maybe don't be here tomorrow or like don't be here next week, and over to being able to ping cell phone locations of being able to ping cell phone types and locations up to printing leaflets or pamphlets of being like, hey, here's where you can go to get some assistance if you need anything. Um,
so
or
when that happened, I
mhm,
mean, I was told that you can't talk about this, so just
yeah,
answer however you can,
mhm,
because I know it's still a touchy subject. I'm gonna give you my perspective on it, and then
sure,
you give me yours, and then we'll go from there.
mhm,
Um, I understand that because we were there for a long time,
mhm,
that a lot of people wanted us to get out of there.
yes,
However, I don't think the way we did it was the best approach. I don't. What's the? I don't think that we should have removed the band-aid if the wound was still not healed. Does that make sense? I think it should have been
yeah,
faded out versus just ripping it off, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
It's to really get into that. It's I think that leadership made the assessment as like we were there for a long time. We were there for long enough that we became part of the social structure there, which is generally not the place of there are departments of the government that's whose role it is to help do that kind of thing. to kind of help stand countries up or like help them rehabilitate into whatever to best help them align with whatever the intent is that we have for either just ourselves or for the international community. They hindsight's always 2020. I'm positive that in the moment people thought they were making some of the better decisions, but sometimes you can have, and sometimes some of those decisions may have been the best possible decision, but then making a decision and setting a plan into action and the plan getting executed can be wildly different.
Right.
I can't say that anyone would have planned for the pullout and the drawdown to go as it did, because it was happening. It wasn't just, a lot of people think that it was it's like, oh, it was like a month, and here's a month that came up on the news. People thought that was the whole thing. It's like those drawdowns of that size take months and years, not only to plan but to execute. So like it was happening for a while. It was just the end of the time that the end of the allowed time we had in the area. So it's when that kind of thing happens, like I said, I firmly believe they probably had the best intentions of how they wanted it to draw down. It's just, plans are great until they're not.
So the plan was not a bad plan. It's just the execution was terrible.
Yes, it was and there are probably a lot of people that can speak more intimately about it than I can. It was like, for me, as close as I got was the one of my friends. He was actually in the same unit that me and Jackie were in. He was a psychological operations guy. He was one of the ones that was killed in the bombing at the gate. Ryan, he's a really cool dude. It's like my interaction with the whole drawdown is that, but then there's the at the time I was a lot more outspoken on how I thought things to do, but like, at the time I was what year was that, 21?
Yeah, it was 2021.
I was like, I'm a staff sergeant in a giant organization. So there's always our in the moment, how we feel about it and how upset we get when something doesn't work and people that you love get hurt. But then it's like, as time goes on, it's like I only have one view of it.
Right.
So it was I've had to kind of step back and be like, here's how I would have liked to, I would have seen it go this way, but also I don't know the kind of intricacies. I can do medical planning forwards and backwards, but like for all of that, I can't even begin to touch everything that goes into it to try to make that happen. So yeah, that was a rough time. It's still a very sore spot for a lot of people. Even especially here on base, you'll have a lot of people that were there for the entire drawdown, especially the end part. That you can be in class and talking with people and talk about deployments, or just like in the COPs, and someone will just casually drop, oh yeah, I was like 14 feet that way from the explosion. Like, that's insane.
Just casually,
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's wild. I mean, like, so there's a lot of people that have never served, and don't understand why the military is in so many places around the world, and they believe that they shouldn't be there. So, like, the conservative movement is, not all the conservatives, but a lot of the conservative movement is on this like isolationist type of mentality where we shouldn't be anywhere, it's none of our business. And then the progressive movement is also kind of on that same camp, where they're kind of on that same boat, no war, it's a human crisis. And so I'm kind of like in the middle, because you have to, like, how can I put it? I don't think you should trust other countries' leaders, So I think the only way for you to kind of keep things at bay is to kind of be there, as deterrence is what I wanted to say hindrance, but I meant deterrence. But there's other people that don't think that because then war strikes or whatever. But what do you think? Like, do you think that we should stay as we are right now, kind of like a policing, or we shouldn't?
I don't think that we feel less of a policing capacity than a lot of people think that we do. There's always like the idealistic of like it'd be really cool if we just bring all the boys and girls home, make sure everyone's safe here. We can take care of everything here. But it's like with the world stage being where it is, sometimes you have to have things in places just to be like, hey, I'm cool, you're over there, I'm over here, got it, finger guns, all right, cool. So that's why a lot of the positionings that you'll hear people like, I don't understand, like what I was talking about earlier, being in like North Africa and Tunisia. I would say, I can firmly say that most Americans probably couldn't locate Tunisia on a map, or if they've ever heard of the country.
I don't know where that is. So, I'm one of those Americans.
It's right
Guilty as charged.
Right off the Mediterranean. Beautiful country. It's really cool. Landing there was weird because it was just the region the world is in. It looked like if you were landing in one of the civilian Afghani airports, like and leaving, it felt the same, and I was like, okay, I'm back. Oh, never mind, I'm not back. I'm in a different place. This is cool.
Damn.
But like a lot of people wouldn't be able to place that in a map, but we're there to help. The way like my last unit SFAB works is like sending those smaller teams to strengthen the relationships we have with these other partner nations, and like to help bring update, or like I said earlier, to help tweak the way that they would operate to better work with how we would. That way, if something happens in that region, we're better able to be like, hey, remember when we were here, we taught you these things, awesome. Like now we can go to work and make it a lot smoother, as opposed to showing up, having to work on figuring out from the ground up, from a blank slate of how to interface with these other nations, in case something does happen. Because and when I say something does happen, there's whether that's an international, or there's like an international incidents, wars, natural disasters, all these different things can happen. You kind of have to be prepared for. So that's why you'll be like, I didn't know that we had guys in like X, Y, or Z countries in Africa or East Asia, or like Southern Europe.
I mean, that's good that we do, considering China is now making deals with Africa. It'd be nice to have the U.S. there.
Yeah, and kind of on the world stage too. When we have like, whether or not it's a small team like I was on, or a larger unit in a place, usually as long as we're maintaining that the good relationship with that partner nation, they're less likely to further develop a relationship with one of our political adversaries like China or Russia.
I don't know why I thought, I'm like, I don't think he's gonna be able to say adversary, but no, you said it. Okay, cool. I'm like kind of testing waters here, so just do your best.
I'm one dude in a giant organization, so I have how I see things and what I've experiences, and there are much more eloquent men and women that have been doing it for way longer or shorter, but they can talk better than I have. I've been hit the head a lot.
You're good. I like so you're saying, like, your perspective is we should be around the world, but by using our military training to teach other countries how to improve their military. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, that way it's or even sometimes like a lot of what I was focused on there was helping teach updated medical care for ground force troops. Which is really cool, because I love teaching about medicine. I could do that all day and all night.
That's cool.
And then take a 10-minute nap and jump right back into it. The human body is awesome, and just teaching people how to better keep things where they're supposed to be. It's the coolest thing I'm so happy it's all I get to do it.
It's freaking needed.
It's so much fun. like taking the thing like when like some intestines that are not where they're supposed to be and putting them back where they're supposed to be, and then handing that off to someone else and they're like, hey, awesome, you did good. It's the coolest feeling ever.
Wait, what? You intestines can
Yeah, those come out. Well, they're not supposed to come out.
well, no shit, but like, what do you mean? Like, like you're talking about like you can like if they're out, you can put them back, and then people are alive, or are you talking about like they move around and you? I don't know. What do you mean by that? I was thrown off.
I've had patients before where it's like they'll have something's happened. There was one where it was a young fellow didn't listen when they were setting up a radio mast, like a big tall like radio antenna. That way they were able to transmit longer, and they would have steel tie downs, and it was very windy because at the top of the antenna would be the big, you get the dish or whatever. They're a lot smaller now than they used to be. But like on the side of a mountain on a windy day, the wind catches that the wrong way. The tie down wasn't done correctly, and it slices stomach like right here. Luckily, the guys that I had done some training with had showed me because it happened when I was a communications guy.
You like blood? No, you like blood. You like to see all
it's
that.
Fine. Well, I don't like it, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, no, I can't do
but
that.
It was so you can kind of like finger. The best thing you can do is to keep it warm and wet. Because you don't, if it dries out, then they're not going to be able to salvage.
That's what he said. I had to do that. I'm sorry, I had to do that. It was
so like the best thing with bowel is to keep it warm and wet. And if you're going to do that, the best place for it isn't in any sort of medical device that we can bring or procure. The best place for bowel is inside the body where it was originally supposed to be. So, but if you're a medical provider and you're not comfortable doing that, you can wash it off, make sure there's like as few contaminants on it as possible, get a plastic bag on there, and then keep something warm on top of it to help keep them from shifting while you're moving them around if you do have to move them. Or you can clean it off. Hopefully it's not bleeding. And if it is bleeding, kind of go in and you can pick up the what's the specific word? I believe it's I'm usually better at spitting these words out. But the tissue that connects the intestines together, because it's not like a string of yarn or like a cable. Like they're all connected to each other. These tissue layers in there, and but there are also veins and arteries that run through there. So like if they're bleeding, sometimes you have to go in there and like clamp that and stop that bleeding. And then you can put everything back inside by doing like picking up the sides of wherever the hole is and kind of shaking it, or like just pushing it back in.
I would assume your adrenaline rush is like crazy when you're trying to like make sure that this person doesn't die on you. Has that ever happened before? Yeah, curious. Has anybody passed?
Oh yeah, it happens. Sometimes it's I'm in the camp that I don't think that anyone really. All you can really do is push the end of someone's life to the right a little bit, no matter what sort of medical care thing you're doing. So like the if you're a medical provider, like I think the best hope that you can is whether or not you're giving a guy 5 more minutes, 5 more days, 5 more weeks, 5 more months, 5 more years, or 5 more decades, just pushing it to the right a little bit. But yeah, it's sometimes you can, whether or not you have everything you need. And you were able to do everything the way you needed to do it. Sometimes what's going to happen is just what's going to happen, and you will have someone pass on. No matter it's their injury sets and their illnesses. It's like even if he was in the OR and he got hurt right there, even then he probably still could have taken care of it. You'll see that sometimes like in older generation, or not older generation, but the older patient populace. If they have like this thing called a AAA, where like their aorta will just kind of burst like right here, and it's like if that happened on an operating table, there's chances of with everyone knowing that it was going to happen and had all the proper tools ready to go. There's still a very high chance that they won't make it. So there's some things that sometimes we have patients that it's just nothing we could do. Even if you did everything or you did nothing, the outcome was going to be the same. But we regardless, we do as much as we can.
That's bleak. Jesus. No matter what you do, the outcome's gonna be the same. You know.
Yeah.
That's damn the mentality that you have to have is. I remember seeing the first person I saw die was my dad's aunt. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, aunt. So it was like she died in my arms. That was the first person that I think I was 13 at the time or 14. I had never seen death before, so much less like that. She ended up, but it was like a typical death of an older woman. You know, she slipped, fell, and then that was like it. You know, I guess when you're at that age and if you don't take care of yourself, if you fall, it's a done deal. And then so she literally croaked right in front of me. I did not know that when you die, you pee on you pee.
Everything relaxes and it just goes.
Like that was just wild to me. I never saw I saw death totally different after that. I was like, wow, this is all right. I was like, God gave me that experience for a reason, I guess. Harden yourself. You never know. So I was like, damn. I can't be a doctor after seeing like all the things that came out of her when she was already dead. I was like, no, I can't do that. No.
Yeah, it's real bad.
It's not. You have to have a thick stomach. I can't do that.
You do. I'm horrible with poop. Anything poop, I can't do it. Like, so I can have someone puke on my face and be fine and continue medical care. If there's poop going on, I don't know what it is. I just look at it, especially if it's from an adult. It's like
That's a perfect. That's a great clip. Keep in mind, I will be clipping some of these things.
I can be wrist deep in someone's chest cavity and be fine. But as soon as they shit themselves, like, hey, I'm out. I can't do it.
I mean, I guess everybody has their thing. For me, it's just in general. The body's awesome until you open it up, and then it's not awesome anymore for me.
Yeah.
It's great until you know that's where I'm like, yeah, that's it. No, I don't know. I'll motivate you. I'll tell you how important it is to take care of your body, you know, your mind. But that's as far as I go with health. That's it. That's as far as I go. I'm not gonna go any further than that. I'm not even gonna tell you what to eat because like some people are kind of picky. Just don't eat fast food. Don't drink soda. You know, the basic shit.
Yeah.
But like, you know, don't have too much sugar, too much salt. But to get really nitty gritty on how people eat, I don't even do that because there's so many people that eat different things. Like I like rice and beans. You're not gonna tell me to stop eating rice and beans. It's just not gonna happen. You know.
Yeah, so. It's sometimes it's like, hey, just like take if you're going to McDonald's 5 times a week, go 4. We'll start there.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm not one of those. I'd be like, yeah, just stop going to McDonald's. Like, do you want to die? Like, stop.
You gotta help someone convince themselves to get better. It's less convincing them and getting them to convince themselves.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's where the hard part is for me because it's really hard for me to convince like in that way.
Yeah.
That for me, that when it comes to fast food, I will definitely just like rip off the Band-Aid we were talking about earlier. That I have no problem ripping off. That no worries.
Oh man, it's trying to tell people, or it's like whether it's stuff they're eating or like medications or supplements that they're on. It's like,
I'm not big on supplements. Are you big on supplements?
At most I do protein. I've never done like creatine or anything.
Yeah, me either. I'm not. It's not my. I don't know. It's not
I just want to be in the position of like I get used to that.
Right. Yeah.
It's gone, especially like with my with being active duty. It was like there's times I wanted to start, but then it's like every time like, all right, cool. I'm definitely not going anywhere. I'm not going to school for a while. I'm not going out of the country for a while. I'm not going out of the city for a while. I can start, and then the next day it's like, hey, guess what? It's like, okay, cool. I guess I'm not starting.
Yeah, no, it's not my thing. I personally don't like. Oh, he really went off on the armpit thing. That's crazy. I just went down. I looked down. I'm like, wow. He so many comments just on armpits. Fabulous.
Important parts of the body.
Dude, the armpits, the hair grows back the fastest there, bro. I can't wait to get laser surgery on my armpits. It's ridiculous.
It's so fat. It's like the worst. Like you do like the tank top on. It's like I'm assuming yours stays like shorter or more trimmed than I probably keep mine. But
I wax, so I would hope it freaking, you know, I've been waxing for a long ass time. I would hope, but But no, I can't wait to just laser it, and that way I don't have to deal with it ever again.
I want to do that I want to do the laser for like the hair on the back of my neck and then like right here. Like, I'm sick of like not making that like the unibrow go away when it like you forget it for like a week. And then you look in the mirror and you notice 17 hairs right in the middle. Like, God damn it.
So specific. 17 hairs. Did you count them? Like, what the fuck?
Sometimes you get bored while you're waiting on stuff to happen.
That's what happens when you have lazy days with Jackie. You start counting your fucking.
Well, no, on the lazy days I count the hairs between her eyebrows, and then she counts mine. It's
That's funny. How long have you guys been together anyway?
Going on a year now.
Oh my god! Congrats.
We're getting there.
Dealing with her is no joke. So good for
so
you. Good for you. God, she's something special.
Gosh, she's fucking fantastic.
She's something.
She's
She's
awesome.
definitely something. I've dealt with her for a very, very, very long time. So
Yeah.
I'm saying a year is nothing, buddy. Congrats, though. Congrats. Good for you. You've survived your first year.
And all I have left is the rest of them.
Oh, that's adorable. That's good. Yeah, she's something else. She's a
So
tough
you guys
cookie.
You guys met in junior year, so I would have been
Fucking
like 12-ish years.
yeah, a long
That's
time.
insane.
Long time.
Holy crap.
It's crazy because we only talk like once or twice a year.
That's all you need sometimes.
Yeah. For that one or twice a year, we catch up for the entire year. So we're talking for like 3 hours. Easy. No breaks in between, and then we don't talk again until like 6 months later, and then like that's how we do it.
Look at what she put in there.
What the hell did she put in there? Survived. Yes, you're not, you're not easy to deal with, bro. Okay? Not easy. Me and her it's crazy how things reverse. When I was in high school, I was the one that was like super like uneasy to deal with, just so like it's my way or the highway. Well, it's actually still like that now, but back then it was way more intense, and I was super aggressive, very I was just super mad all the time for other reasons that are in the book. But like in the book hasn't even been made yet, and I was just pissed all the time, so like, and super cocky and just arrogant. And she was like the opposite, she was like a freaking flower. Everything was super chill, like nothing fucking bothered her. If something bothered her, you would have never guessed that she was bothered by anything. Like everything bothered me. Like you looked at me the wrong way and I was really like, what? You want to fight? Like I was on that level. Yeah, she was like, bro, calm down, chill. Now I think it's reversed.
It's watching her get angry at someone is very fun. Well, not like angry, but like while we're driving and she'll get angry. That's very fun to watch. I enjoy it.
I don't have I don't get mad at all when I'm driving. I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. You can pass me. I don't care. Go.
I never get mad until someone's either turning, like making a right turn very slowly to where they come to a stop on a moving road. I get angry there, and then if you take too long to go at the light, and it's like, come on.
I went to North Carolina. I fucking hate your roads there.
It's so fucking bad.
Horrible. This is the first place I go to where you guys don't have like a merge lane. Like, how are you supposed to know? I almost died because it was a freaking truck coming. The truck didn't see me and it literally pushed me to like the side. So you see when you go to the side, you're I guess like the pavement is like rough or whatever. Yeah. And it screws up your wheels. But if I hadn't done that, I would have died. So I was like, yeah, North Carolina, whoever made your infrastructure was like high off of something and didn't think merge was needed at all. Yeah, no, I was like, I don't know if people can like just drive here, and the traffic is really bad over there.
Yeah, the traffic's bad. Where I'm living at now, and I live in Rayford, which is just off of Fayetteville, which is just under like Fort Bragg. They've been working on. It was a lot more rural before, but they're expanding the city because we're having so many people like either moving here or like the families are growing and people are getting older. So it's just the population is continually increasing, which is great for the city.
Yeah.
But they're expanding and it just takes so fucking long. They've been working on a bridge to make this one road that I have to travel on to get back into Fayetteville proper and then to get to work. They're making it go from a road to a 4-lane road, but over a creek, so they had to build a bridge. When I bought my house, it looked like I was like, oh, there it got like the bridge supports up. This will be done in like 6 months. I've had the house for over a year now, and it's still they're making progress, but it's so slow. I don't.
Infrastructure takes forever. I did a video about that. Like, I don't know why. You know, like the Empire State Building took 1 year to build. I
Which
was
is
like,
insane, and now it takes a year to.
I was
fucking
like,
fix it.
what? The Golden Gate took 4 years. The Golden Gate. I was like, dude, how do we have better technology and yet things take longer? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's so. I think a lot of it is like the red tape that people have to go through. For
Yeah, I looked it up. It's bureaucracy, licenses. That's mainly it. It's really
And
that.
some of it is good. You do want to make sure someone's doing that job that's going to be a massive, majorly used roadway is qualified and knows what they're doing, and that they're doing it the correct way. But sometimes, just like, dude, get this thing fucking rolling.
Yeah, dude. But back then, nobody was freaking qualified, and they did an amazing job. Like that's what I was, you know. I mean, a lot of people died, you know, in the process of that. But you know, it's the fact that, like, come on, bro. Like,
It's just a few people. It's fine.
like, hey, man. I mean, you know, people die every day. It is, you know,
Yes.
construction is not a safe. It's not a safe job. You know,
No.
it's so like.
No, they are my favorite places to respond to on ambulance ships, though, because it's like this is either gonna be just someone that has heartburn, or I'm gonna see something so fucking cool sticking out of someone's body.
Cool sticking out of somebody's body. The humor.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, sure, sure. To you, I guess.
Yeah.
You're drinking water, or you're drinking something else. You're drinking
I
tea.
got some coffee from Red Clover Coffee. As one of my buddies in the army that has a coffee joint. My girl dad.
Oh, that's cool.
I got some Grant Scotch over here on the side.
You know, I don't like American coffee. It tastes like dirty water to me.
So the guy that owns this company, Red Clover, he sources a lot of his beans are sourced internationally, and they end up so good. Like a Jack.
What's the beans that he imports?
Let me pull that up right quick.
Because I'm all about coffee. This is like so out of what I was going to talk to you about. I'll get back on track. I just want to know what coffee beans your
Coffee trumps
friend.
everything. Okay, coffee trumps everything. Let's see. Oh, the pumpkin one's out. I gotta get that.
Pumpkin. Oh, that's no.
This
No.
this Meyer Highlands roast is from, I believe, North Mexico.
Oh, cool.
This one's Yurgashef. I don't know what that means.
Me either.
I'm also a dumb American, so I never. This one was this African Safari one. I believe is sourced from beans in West Africa.
African beans. I don't think
Yeah.
I've had African beans. I've had Arabic beans. That shit's wild. They have the
Arabic.
strongest
Yes.
freaking coffee I've ever had in my life. And I'm Cuban. Our coffee's
Yeah.
strong, but they're like another level of crack. That's like,
Cuban
whoa.
coffee's so fucking good. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is, bro. It's amazing. And if you know how to make the little espumita, yeah, man, that shit's.
Oh,
I can't. I don't know how we start talking about coffee. When I was talking to you about the Afghan withdrawal, and we just off topic so hard. But aside from the coffee, I want to actually hit really quick on the Ukraine. I want to make sure I hit all these topics before we sidetrack again, because I know we're going to. It's so hard not to sidetrack. You know, until I get used to this whole like conversation thing, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Okay, so I was told by Jacksters that you can talk about the Ukraine war. So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fucking nuts. It's also to me, they're very valued foreign partners. I think it's unfortunate how all that started. It definitely all that could have gone a way better way, but the way of the world is the way of the world. So again, a big guy that wants to take a little guy's stuff, and that's what's happening. I will say they're doing a fantastic job of. It's been going on, I think, almost 2 years now. that conflict, that war.
Yep.
And with a much smaller country fending off and then reinvading a larger one is insane. I can't wait to read books about this years from now, about just how this has happened and how it's been resolved. Who doesn't love a good military book on strategy?
Have you ever heard of the quote? History is made by the ones who win.
Yeah. History is decided by the victors.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be very interesting to see how that continues to play out. They've had they've had people prior to this conflict starting that would go over and train some of those people. I've worked with some Ukrainian soldiers before. Actually, when I went to medic school down in San Antonio, there was a Ukrainian in the class, super cool guy. I really hope I'd like to find a way to reach out and see how he's doing. Hopefully he's okay, but it's
Aren't they forcing them, if you're a man and you're of a soldier warrior age, they sent you out there?
Military age males.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know actually. I need to look into that. It was when the Ukraine thing started for our end. It was like just like the rest of the army. They got told like, hey, you might have to go over there. So the unit I was in at the time, we're all like, I guess we have to go make sure all of our trucks work just in case we get sent over there. And like I'll make sure we have all the equipment. So it's been odd to watch. I want to stop living through so many historical events. I would like 50 years of relaxation. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, no,
that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. A lot going on there right now.
Even though I'm not a pessimist, and I'm very like, the future looks bright, very optimistic. But humans are imperfect.
Yeah, humans are very imperfect. I think that there are a lot of parallels between what's happening up there and what's continually happening in the Middle East, and just countries that have been countries for way longer than we have, doing things that they've been doing for way longer than we have. So it's one of those things where it's like watching tragedy happen is always awful, and no way to minimize it. But that is just kind of how things work, to put it in a callous way. But I'm a firm believer that if you want good to happen, you have to put good intention and good effort behind it. So I know there's a lot of people in the international communities, nonprofit organizations that are working to assist not only the people that are fighting over there, but the other people that are affected by it. So I always try to, whenever I can, to help a little bit out that way. I know at some point, like, we're sending like spare medical supplies over that we had sitting around for training. It's like, you guys will probably use this, make more use of this than I will. And teaching some private how to properly put on a tourniquet or something.
The part that the isolationists and the conservatives have, I don't know how the progressives are when it comes to this, because I haven't really talked to anybody that's progressive on this topic. But speaking as a conservative, and then somebody and I know a lot of people that are anti-war, they believe that we provoked that war to begin with. They believe that we have been continuing to go to the east when we had said a long time ago that we wouldn't, and we decided to continue. And then we were trying to kind of flirt with Ukraine to go into NATO, and obviously that is not supposed to happen because we had made a treaty that they would not do that. And that is what, to a lot of people, provoked Putin from going into Ukraine. And the way I see it is like, if China were to tell Mexico, hey, I'm gonna set up shop in Mexico, we're gonna be like, no, the fuck you're not. And we're gonna invade Mexico. That makes sense. So like, that's how I see it. I'm not saying like I'm pro Russia or anything. I have a friend who's like, oh, what are you, like, falling into the KGB propaganda? I was like, no, I'm just thinking logically, like, if our adversaries were close to us, we would probably do the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of conservatives are at when it comes to that. We understand why we're not really going to war with them. We're funding it in a way, but at the same time, we are involved because we're funding it. You know, it's not boots on the ground, but we're sending our money. So
yeah, I think that kind of goes to. I know I've heard about a lot of people gripe more about the money being sent to Ukraine recently, especially like with these last two storms that have hit the coast.
Yeah.
But that's I can explain part of that here in a minute. But I'll say that I kind of like what we touched on earlier. I was talking about SFAB, my last unit, is that sometimes just to make sure that things, to do our best to make sure that things stay how they are and don't get worse, you kind of do have to put those you want to have pieces on the board to be like, hey, don't do this thing, because like if you do this and it's really it's like 6-dimensional chess.
I mean, geopolitics is chess if you really think about it.
There's a lot that goes into it. There's always motivation. That sometimes I know there's some people that think that they push the war that way that the current I believe it's called the president, that Putin over there, that way he can stay in power. I
wouldn't call him a president.
I don't know. It's I do know that everyone that runs against him ends up deciding not to, or one way or another.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when there's a dictator.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah.
But it would be really great if we did not have to do any of those things. It would be really great if everyone could stay at home and could keep all the boys and girls here. But
I just don't understand why. Okay, so like we want to like defend Ukraine even though Ukraine's not a part of NATO. Whatever, fine. But my problem is you're funding a border, but you're not funding our border. And that's where the conservatives are at. Because I know the progressives don't give a shit about our border. They're all about more immigrants coming in. No, the south border.
I'm so sick of these goddamn Canadians coming in here and shitting on my syrup.
No, bro. Canadians are fucking... I mean, some Canadians are not nice. People say all Canadians are nice. That's not true. Some Canadians
are not nice. What they call bacon is just ham. I'm so aggravated. No more Canadians. I want the north border.
Wait, what? Bacon? They call bacon ham?
Yeah, they call it... So Canadian bacon...
They call
just
bacon.
Like thick ham slices. That's all it is.
So they don't have bacon over there.
They don't have bacon, and I can't respect a country that doesn't have bacon.
Interesting. Interesting.
It's so a lot of the funding there, the funding that we're sent over, and a lot of times too, is someone will see like a high dollar amount of like, they gave Ukraine $19 billion. They did not give Ukraine $19 billion. They have, especially correlated directly to the military side of this, is that we have a bunch of things that we built during the Gulf War that we have to keep. And sometimes the best way to bring in new things, that way that our service members can have better and newer, more updated equipment, is that before we get the better, newer, more updated equipment, we have to find a way to get rid of the older equipment, because it doesn't just disappear. It still takes up space. A lot of these things are oftentimes still very functional and useful. So you'll see a bunch of like our older military vehicles or equipment go over, and that's all wrapped up in a lot of those high dollar amounts. So sometimes it's not like we gave them 4 briefcases with $1 billion each in it. It's we gave them a bunch of things that added up to the total of this amount of money. And if they didn't go there, they would just go. We would try to find somewhere else to put them. It's also a great place.
The issue is that there's no oversight on where that money really is going. So they're saying that the money is going to fixing equipment and all that jazz, but like, where is the proof that is really where all the money is going? And the money that's not going to fixing the equipment, where is it going? You know? Yeah, and there's no oversight. That's the problem. So now it's like, how can we trust you with the money when you don't really tell us where the money is going? You know? Because it's our money. It's not the government's money. The government doesn't make any money.
I can understand how a lot of people would see it that way, or do see it that way. There's a lot that goes into, especially, and that is currently working on being regulated. Because like, even if you say, look at like for a military for a government regulated aircraft or government purchase aircraft, there are certain items that like because it has to do with the government, it has to be regulated. So sometimes going in, it's like you need to buy the parts to fix this aircraft, but you can only buy it from these specific people, and these specific people know that they're the only ones allowed, so they'll charge what they want to charge, which is kind of like how that one dickhead that wanted to charge like $2,000 a file for insulin or whatever. And
don't you guys only have like 2 military contractors or something like that? Like
depending on
which is insane.
What it's for, and I'm a big free market guy. So you got anyone that wants to start that stuff up, I recommend it. Get some names in the hat. Let's get more people funding and get these prices down.
I am too. I don't know anybody that well, actually, I do know somebody, but he wouldn't do it because he's not an entrepreneur. But I'm all for it. I'm all for it too.
A good insight into that, if people want to see a little bit, it was not really a documentary, but the movie I think is called War Dogs.
I think I've seen it. That sounds
it had
familiar.
the one actor from 21 Jump Street, the shorter, bigger guy.
God, I'm so bad. Oh, the fat dude.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. The Jewish guy.
Him and the guy that played Richard Reed in that one version of the Fantastic Four.
I know what you're talking about.
And that's there's a lot of very accurate things of how military and government contracts.
Yes, I've seen that movie. Yes, and they've overpriced the shit out of it. That's exactly how. That's another problem I'm having. I was like, why do you overprice? Like, for example, let's say a tank is like, I don't know how much tanks cost, but let's say a tank is like, I don't know. Let's say like other countries buy it for $50,000 and we're buying it for $100,000. Why are we buying the same tank for $100,000? Like, we're just blowing money away.
There are probably people that outrank me on boards that make those decisions. So all I'll say is voting's important.
Yes, agreed.
Looking at smaller issues than just who's going to be president next is I always encourage people to do. I have grievances with how that works, so usually when I'm voting, I do a lot more looking into not just like the bigger picture, but the smaller area targets as well.
I mean, local. I mean, but when you're voting for the president, you're also voting for other local stuff. Like that's all on the ballot.
A lot of people won't know a single name. They'll done no research on it before they go in because the only one they know is the president and the vice president. And like they know that, oh cool, here's these 2 people and here's these 2 people, and that's all. Even the first time I went to vote when I was 18 or 19, I didn't know anything about any of the local people. It was just like, I was like, all right, mom said go this way, so I went this way on the ballot.
What are you, by the way? What are you? You an independent? Are you a Democrat, Republican? What are you?
I think I lean more Democrat. I grew up very Republican. I'm from Oklahoma. So
I've heard that's very Trumpy.
You ever heard of a sundown town?
No.
So a sundown town is essentially a place where it's like if you're not from there, and generally if you're like usually a person of color, one shade or another, you probably shouldn't be there after sundown. The whole fucking state is a sundown town. It feels like I'm half black and white. I grew up there in Oklahoma City. It's and there's it's not saying like everyone in the state's a white, like everyone in the state is one way, but it's like the general feel is like you can kind of get the vibe of things are going to go one way. It's I think it's because they don't put a lot of money into education at all. They're 49th in education, and they have been since I was little.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's rough. There's some great things about the state. I can't name any, but there's probably some great things about the state.
I don't know why I thought you were gonna say something else. That was good. You were just like into thought. Can't name anything.
But it's no. I generally try to anytime I'm voting for it, it's voting for anything. I usually just go to what's going to help the most amount of people in my area have a better or an easier life, or to stop something harder from happening.
I'm not going to ask you who you're going to vote for, but I am going to ask you next week who you're going to vote for.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to have that conversation right now, because I want Jackie to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's more fun because I already know who she might vote for. I'm very persuasive, so we'll see.
But it's it's all the. I think it's important to vote whoever you vote for on whatever subject. I think the best thing that someone can do outside of voting, the best thing you can do is vote. The next best thing you can do is to be informed about what you're voting about. Because I think that's important on either side of the aisle and up the middle, is to have more people be informed about what is actually on the ballot and what the issues and policies that people are supporting are.
So one of the issues, just to go back to the border. So it's not the northern border. It's the south border that we have issues with. So there's
not the Canadians.
Yeah, not the Canadians. The Canadians are cool. It's the south border where we have a lot of issues. So a lot of people want to say that that the border crisis is like bullshit. The conservatives are just using it as a campaign slogan. However, I am Cuban. I was born in Cuba, so I have family members that, because of this administration, they have crossed the border. They know my stance on that, so they know that I believe that they shouldn't have done that, because you're enabling more people to continue to do what you did. So in order for you to cross the border, you need to have a coyote to get you through the whole thing. Coyotes are connected to the cartels. So you need to know you're sending the money, which is not like $1,000. I'm talking, if you want the person to get there safely without getting raped along the way, you need to be taking out minimal 10 G's per person.
Yeah.
So one of my family members who crossed, the cartels got 20 G's for this person to cross. The horrors that she saw along the way, where she told me that she would never, it's like a war zone and you're not even a freaking soldier, but you're just trying to cross to get to, America. So this person came, right? Came illegally, like many others, and got food stamps, got her Social Security, and now has a job that's supposed to have been for an American.
Okay.
So my perspective is, and this is my family member I'm talking about. So you would think because she's my family member, I'm going to be very like, no, good for her. No, because at the end of the day, I'm thinking the bigger picture is how many people are in the same predicament, in the same situation. They crossed the border illegally. They gave thousands of dollars to the cartel. So all you're doing is enabling this to continue happening. And then you're getting a job that's not supposed to have been for you because you didn't earn it. You don't speak English. And you have a job, not a good job at that, when you're not even supposed to be here.
What do they do?
They're working for a bank.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, sure. For her, I guess.
The way I've looked at that, because I have family members and extended family that have immigrated one way or another. The country is founded on immigration, so I don't think it's cool to just be like, I think we're just like, all right, now the door's closed. I would prefer if people went through the proper immigration channels. Like, the proper immigration is currently a very convoluted process. They're working on. I know the Congress is working on getting it simplified and let people go easier, because even if once you get across, it took my daughter's grandfather, I think, like 9 years of being here, getting here the right way to get his citizenship, doing the same things that and working hard, staying out of trouble, having to work 3 times as hard as like an American that's in a similar position to not do the job ultimately, but working 3 times as hard to have to try to be able to do a job. So for me, I respect the drive that someone has to have to want to do that. I would like it. It's one of those things where it's like kind of like earlier. It'd be nicer if like we didn't have to be everywhere all over the world. So it would be nicer if like we didn't have those issues going on right now. I do like the last 2 bills that got brought up were shot down by the Republican Congress. That way they could maintain
Which one's
so
the infrastructure bill or the border bill?
both and the FEMA bill.
The border bill, the majority of that bill had nothing to do with the border.
There we go.
It had to do with sending money to Ukraine and Israel.
A lot of those have it's like military regulations. They say one thing, they go 4 different ways.
And that same border bill, if we're talking about the one that was supposedly bipartisan, that they claim that Trump shut down, which is it was shut down before Donald Trump disagreed with it, was literally would legalize illegal immigration in the bill, because it would allow the Homeland Security to have to allow by law 5,000 people to cross, like, just here you go, 5,000 per day crossing the border. So which is essentially legalizing human trafficking, because there's no vetting when they're crossing the border at all. Which is another problem I'm having. If there's no vetting, then you're literally allowing.
Vetting's important.
But they're not vetting. That's another problem. So it's not even about, like, I understand that we were built on immigration. I'm totally for it. By all means, the biggest entrepreneurs are usually immigrants. I mean, Elon Musk is a great example. He's from freaking Africa, and he's the richest man on the fucking planet right now.
Yeah, I think he's South African, if I'm right.
So, like, he's a great example of that. I totally get it. You know, when you come from, like, literally the mud, you have so much drive to become something for your family and for yourself. But what's going on right now is that they're not vetting the people that are coming in. So you have thousands of kids that are going missing because you're allowing them to come in and they're being sponsored, but you're not confirming that the sponsor is real. And then they realize that they've been getting sent to the same sponsor the whole time. So you have, like, I think they've already calculated like over 300,000 kids that have gone missing during this administration because of their
numbers were.
And that's not even accurate.
No, they're not.
Okay.
Reported numbers almost never accurate.
Yeah, so that's my biggest issue is you're not vetting the people that are coming in here. There's people that are criminals that are coming in here. So it's not like you're bringing in, like, the best. You're bringing in, like, the worst. You know, so that's one of the biggest problems. I mean, look at what happened in Colorado. Like, you had a bunch of fucking Venezuelan gangs terrorizing people in Colorado. Like, they don't deserve that shit. Like, I could only imagine, like, you being just a civilian, you're just paying your taxes, you're working, you're just trying to freaking live your American life, and then you have these freaking Venezuelans that are coming in here and they're terrorizing where you live, and it's like, dude, I pay to not have to deal with this. Why am I dealing with this? So
how would you suggest handling it?
Vet them. They're not vetting them.
So so vetting. So
like background check, like, and stay in Mexico, which is what should have happened. That's another problem I have. Like, if you really care about, because I know you can't, like, judge your commander in chief, but I can, thankfully, so I can do it. I'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. If you really care about humanitarian, if you're really about the humanitarian crisis abroad, which is what they're claiming they care about, why aren't you for the one that's happening in your soil? Like, you literally took off. The first thing he did when he came in, he took off what Trump had put in to avoid this from happening. So now you have so many criminals in. They just found a terrorist guy in. I think Value Entertainment posted it the other day, and I was like, oh, but we don't have an open border. So, and the FBI, the chief of the FBI, what's his guy's face? Forgot his name now. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The head honcho of the FBI, Director Wray. I think that's his name. I think his name is Director Wray.
I would have to.
I think so. If you could, you have the computer right in front of me, so you can.
Yeah.
I think it's Director Wray. So he even admitted that there are terrorists in the country, and it's because of the open border. Because if you don't know who's coming in, you don't know if they're criminals, you don't know if they have any diseases. You don't fucking know. You're allowing kids to come in with people that are claiming those are the parents, but you can't proof any of that. There's no DNA testing. There was DNA testing before this administration. So it's like, why would you remove DNA testing? Why would you remain in Mexico if you actually care about a humanitarian crisis? It contradicts. You know, it's like they care so much about the humanitarians abroad, but the humanitarians here, you don't really care about.
I don't think it was ended up ending the holding in the Mexican holding. Let's see, here we go.
They're doing it now, but the first 2.5 years they didn't.
Right. Well, the first 2 years of this administration would have been on last administration's policies, and then their first 2 years would have been on the previous administration's policies.
They removed the previous administration's policies the minute they got into fucking power. So that's the part that I don't understand. Like, why did you do that?
I do that anytime we try to adjust or remove policy, it doesn't go into effect.
It's just so petty. Like, just keep the policy that's there.
Bureaucracy is fucking awful. It's awful.
There's a documentary that I wish it would go on theaters, but it's not gonna go on theaters because I don't know, maybe he doesn't have the capital to. I guess you have to have a lot of money to put your movie like in AMC or Cobb or whatever.
You get private screenings going, but getting it like nationwide or statewide is very difficult.
So like this guy, his name is James O'Keefe. I don't know if you know who he is. He's like a known journalist, like an OG journalist, because those are hard to come by nowadays. But he just did a documentary. It's kind of like more of a movie than a documentary, but it's him literally going through what other people have to go through to cross the border. So it's him and like his camera crew, and they're like jumping trains and they're like doing a bunch of shit, and they see random kids walking on the border. You see the cartels. He's talking to the cartels, and then the cartels are like, "You have to let me completely like finish my job. This is my job." You see the Homeland Security people. What do you call those people that are there, like at the border? What do you call them? Homeland Security is the actual organization.
ICE? No,
Border. I don't know.
Border Patrol.
Border Patrol. Okay, they're not doing anything. They're just watching everybody just.
Well, I will say for
those
guys, like for anyone that's been deployed that's watching will know, when you're overseas, there are certain things that it'd be really cool if I could just do what I believe I need to do right now to take care of this. But like we have this RE, these rules of engagement of like things we're allowed to do. They're widely argued about amongst the people I know, because sometimes it's like, man, that guy's definitely gonna shoot at me in like an hour, and I can do this. I can fix this now, but I can't due to the stipulations and regulations. So it would be very cool if they could kind of cowboy it and shoot from the hip to do what they thought in the moment was the right thing, but in the instance that what they thought was the right thing to do, for what, like, say they saw what they assumed or knew were cartel people doing something or someone or something else. If it goes wrong, if they make the right choice, fantastic. But if it's the wrong choice, there's a lot bigger consequences that would affect not only them in the immediate area, but they could propitiate to the people around them. So that's why sometimes you'll see stuff like that, or that they'll see things like that. It's like, we're like, yeah, I see it. I can't fucking.
It's just not a good look though, because we're paying you to protect the border, and you're not protecting the border.
Well, they're doing it to their.
They're following orders. But their orders should be to protect the border, and they're not protecting the border. So then, as a civilian and taxpayer, I'm mad at you because you're not really doing your job, but I'm also mad at your boss because he's telling you not to do your job. And so then the one who's at risk now is me, and I'm the one paying both of you to fucking do this for me.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
I love how you're like, this is a valid concern. I can't speak very thoroughly about this, but yes, I can empathize with you.
I spent too much time around officers.
I see, I can tell.
But it's it's like I said. There's certain times. I've definitely had times. I can use my stateside stuff here for this one. I can get off of the weird military tangent. So like as a paramedic, there's sometimes you see we respond to calls like something happened to a kid, or like something happens to like a young man or a young woman, and you get there and you're like, I can tell. Before I walk in the door, just from from hearing the call, or seeing the dispatch, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what's happening here, and there's definitely one like you go in there and you'll have a young lady that's upset, or a young man. You can tell they're shaken, and they're like, oh, I need help with like this thing, and it's very obviously not what they need help with, but you have their guardian or their partner, or someone else in the room, and you have to kind of play to be like, that's okay, well, we're going to take care of this thing that you say is hurting you, and definitely not this other thing that I can tell what's going on. It would be really great if you go in there, you see a kid has bruises or lashes or scratchings or something like that, or burn marks, to be like, all right, cool, I'm going to treat this child and then strike this man, but we can't, because that's not. If we're right, no skin off our bones, probably get fired, have to maybe shift or fired or put on leave while they do an investigation, yada yada. If we're wrong, then it's a much higher cost, not only for us and them, but for the area, and then that kid or those people will never trust EMS again. They'll never want to go to a hospital, things like that. So it's the grander picture is that a lot of the guys we have on Border Patrol, or the men and women we have down there serving on Border Patrol, are in a similar thing. Like there's a chance and the likelihood that they're right about what they're seeing, and that they would like to make a decision. They would like to action a decision that would be beneficial for parties involved. But if they're wrong and it creates a way bigger thing, then it can lead to widening the issue. It's kind of like you can choose to kind of stop a venous bleed, but if you don't stop the arterial bleed, like the bigger issue, then like you can stop as many little things as you want, and it won't have the kind of effect. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I believe everyone should try to do the best that they can, to take care of as many people as we can the right way. If people want to come to the country, I think that's great, because I know a lot of people that are from here that don't want to do anything. So I'll take.
Yeah.
I'll take 10 hard workers from somewhere else.
Touche.
Yeah, I'll take 10 hard workers from anywhere else in the world, and I'll swap one do nothing person 7 days a week. But
yeah.
Sometimes the other way around. Sometimes I'll take one hard worker and then get rid of like 2 or 10 people that are just generally not additive to society.
I just think that right now, like a lot of people that are more democratic are going to see it as like, oh, we're giving them jobs and we're giving them a better life, and it's okay. You could always see the positive in it. But there's a very dark side to those people that are coming for a better life.
Yeah.
There's a dark side to it, is where there's women that are being trafficked, enslaved into the human trafficking business is $1 billion business.
It's awful.
It is disgusting, and it's gotten more powerful during this administration, which is the worst part. It's not a good look at all for this administration. It's not like you literally look like you're enabling human trafficking.
Since the late 80s, it's been getting exponentially worse every year. Even like here, living in North Carolina off of 95, it's like a they say it's like a trafficking highway, because it goes through so many of these things, especially for just where it goes. So you go like up from Florida, and then like through South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and then up to the Northeast.
That documentary, I haven't seen it like fully, but I did see a podcast. The Hodge twins.
I'm not familiar.
What? God, bro, I gotta put you on. All right,
most of the podcasts I listen to are for entertainment stuff. Like I'm big on. I'm
like super.
I use my free time to try to.
Yeah, no, I don't really have free time. So as you saw earlier, you were like, oh, what'd you do today? Nothing, and I was like, can't relate, because that's not my thing. I can't just do nothing.
Yeah.
Laz is like, We try, but exactly because I'm just not one of those people. I get anxious and I'm like, why are we not doing anything? We need to do
Oh
something.
yeah, I feel that. Oh my god.
The only time I can't do nothing is if I'm like, all right, let's just like watch like a show or like a movie or whatever, and that's like what, an hour or 2 hours long, and then I'm back to having to do something. But I like to listen to like informative stuff. I mean, if I'm doing a podcast and I'm talking to a bunch of people, I have to be informed as much as possible. So
Oh, absolutely.
there's a podcast called the Hodge Twins podcast. They're comedians. They're two black Southern comedians, and they had this guy O'Keefe on, and O'Keefe was talking about the documentary, and in the documentary he said how there's NGOs that are also in on the money for the human trafficking, and there's Catholic churches in on it. So I was like, yo, this is like this is like a whole thing, which he obviously didn't know that until he actually was in it investigating everything. That he was like, yo, this is wild.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, there's a lot of times you'll see. Sometimes you'll see an organization that looks like they do. There are organizations that will do a lot of PR to make it look like they're being very helpful, but all there is thinly veiled, just awful things, just awful things.
I mean, I was raised Catholic, but there's something about the Catholic Church that creeps me out, bro.
Yeah, it's
I don't know what it is.
It's I grew up in the church. Grew up Baptist.
Just like Jackie, you guys have so much in common.
Yeah, it's well, she has nicer hair than I do.
You don't have any. I'm assuming you had hair at some point.
Yeah, I actually started balding when I was 19. It sucked.
Wow.
Yeah, but
At least you have a beard.
At least.
You know.
Yeah, but they have. What was I saying?
That you were raised. What, you were raised Catholic
Yeah,
or
I
Christian?
was raised in the church. So I was always looked at it one way.
But what do you mean, like in the church, like Catholic or Christian?
Christian.
Oh, okay.
I was raised Baptist, so I grew up. My pastor was Mark Hitchcock. He's actually got one of his books here. It was this one. This is a book he wrote, or a book that he helped write. This is What's Next: The Israel-Gaza War. He's done a lot of
Interesting.
writing and research. The church the church I went to specifically does a lot of focus on like the later books of the Bible, like Revelation, all that stuff. I got to meet like the guy that wrote like the Left Behind books and series, and they like came up with that story. I got to meet him. That was really cool when I was younger. But a lot of it there, it was I started to kind of look at it through a lens of like, if I just call this Western European mythology, just like growing up we'd call other religions like, oh, like in this mythos that this will happen. I started looking at it that way. I'm like, okay, so this is weird if I look at it this way, and things make a lot more sense and less sense at the same time. But I do know that a lot of church-bound organizations will have less positive inclinations than will be stated. Like they would do some of the churches in the area. I don't know about any bad goings on in the church I grew up with, which I'm happy to not have heard anything bad about them, because it's one of the things like you don't want to you don't want to grow up and be like, oh geez, oh no.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was like there would be some of the other churches where they would do a missionary trip, and like you raise all this money and it's straight up just for like 2 people to go on a vacation over there or something like that, or for someone gets caught like buying a jet with the donation money and things like that, and it's non-taxed. I think churches should go back to being taxed.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of money
That's
there.
it's gonna force people to have to actually do what they said they were gonna do.
Yeah, it's I said earlier because I spent I've read the Good Book cover to cover a couple times. Like I said, I grew up with it. I wish more people that said that was their motivation for things would act in the way as instructed and suggested through the passages of being kinder and being as helpful to others as you can be, regardless of station or situation. But I do know that a lot of the way that it's gone now seems to be the way that a lot of the way that other in history, other countries that were seemingly not governed by one religion or not, but if they were, regardless of religion, it kind of gets to the point of like they get away from the good parts of it, and it just becomes a shield that justify whatever you want done. Like I think for if there are any other like nerdy dudes listening, the Space Marines, that Warhammer, that one. It's actually a satire
That sounds
based on
so fucking
I
nerdy.
think it's American what's it called when it's religious imperialism? What's the type of government called when it's run by religion? Theocracy. It's like American like it's a satire on like an American uh, theocracy or theocracy imperialism stuff. And it's like it's real bad because it's just like everyone has to be one way. They have to do this. Every third word is like for the God
Yeah,
Emperor.
that's the Middle East for you. That's
That's
kind
the
of.
Middle East. That's
Yeah.
rapid. I think that's any religion that gets.
Isn't that what Sharia law is?
Yeah, I'm very familiar, but it's I've spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
That was actually a very cool thing on the first deployment was sitting down with some of the partner forces from various nations and just kind of like talking up. I was like, hey man, I grew up this way. You seem to have grown up this way. I would like to figure out what this is because like it was really cool to actually go through people and going through kind of like we have our hardliners for you'll have your hardliners for Christianity of whatever sect, and there'll be hardliners for religions over for Islam of certain sects. But it's yeah, there's some violent ideations and different interpretations. There's some very positive, just like with Christianity. There's some very positive ideations based off of the scope that someone's looking at their chosen religion through.
There's statistics that the most Christian nations are the ones who flourish compared to other religions, which I think that was interesting. Patrick Bet David was talking about that. He's an entrepreneur, raised in Iran. He's Assyrian and Armenian.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, crazy, because Armenians are like fucking rare breeds. And then he ended up coming over here, but the guy made a killing of him. So he's like now like I think he's already net worth of almost a man. I think it's like $250 million where he's at right now.
oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking. I'm reading his second book right now, but he says that when it comes to countries, the countries that are. That's my dog. Jesus Christ.
I couldn't even hear it.
Oh, okay. I was like, I heard it so loud. He's trying to get inside. When it comes to countries that are mainly Christian, they flourish easier than other countries like Hindu or Muslim or Jewish. There's only one country that's Jewish. But every other, there's just one.
They do their thing.
Yeah, but everybody else. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess. Like and then that's probably why the founders mainly adopted Christian values in our foundation. And I was talking to Jackie about that, so I'm going to talk to you about that now. I know you guys are both on the same level as far as like God is concerned, but she doesn't like that there are politicians that put their beliefs when they do a policy.
Right.
Like she doesn't like the idea that there are Christian politicians. The majority of politicians actually are Christian. There's a few Muslims, but the majority of them are mainly Christian
we're
or
still
Catholic.
a predominantly Christian
Yeah.
nation. We're not. I wouldn't say. I don't like saying that we're a Christian nation, but a lot of the people.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the bigger. I think it is the bigger religion
Yeah,
that's held
it is.
people for a lot of Americans.
Yeah, it is.
Christianity.
Yeah.
In one version or another.
Yeah.
I don't think that your religious beliefs should drive how if you have responsibility as a public servant, that your beliefs should be you should do the best you can for your constituents in the best way that you see it going forward. I think at the base of things, that's how politicians should act. It shouldn't be for personal gain, it shouldn't be for political gain, it shouldn't be for monetary gain. It should be to like, I want to help take care of the people in my area the best way that I believe I can. So for someone that's Catholic, it's going to look one way. For someone that's Baptist, it might look another. For someone that's follows the Quran, it might look one way. For a Jewish man or a man or woman, it might look another way. for a Buddhist, it'll go all the way. It can go different, and we can run down that list of through whatever religious scope that someone is looking for as a base of their beliefs. That'll be how they kind of go forward to structure their policy in support of their constituents. I think there are people that will use the name of something to justify their personal wants or their political wants. So right now you have the Oklahoma Secretary of Education who's mandating Bibles be in all the public education schools, which is not great. I wouldn't want someone to tell me I need to have one religious book in a classroom if I was not of that belief. I'd feel a little insulted. So I don't think that we should push that. If religion should be taken care of at home, not in the education system, unless you're going to like I went to a private Christian school growing up.
But why that belief when Christianity was in the school system? Like, it's not like we never were, they were in the school system, and then they decided to just remove it. I know why they did it. There was Muslims that were like, oh no, I'm Muslim. I don't want to have the commandments here. That's not what we believe in.
You'd have your Jewish students that are like, hey, I don't really, like, I'm doing this thing over here. I don't really want to have to.
Like, I understand that concept, but at the end of the day, like, what's wrong with talking about God to kids? It's not like all religions don't believe in a God. They just call it something different, but they still believe that there is a God.
So do you think that it would be so, like, say we'll take Oklahoma, would it be okay if there was a Muslim teacher that was talking about their beliefs there and like had that in the curriculum? Would you feel as comfortable, or was it just just like a Christian teacher voicing their beliefs?
I think it should just be a class on talking about God, which is really philosophy if you really think about it.
We do have philosophy classes.
Yeah, we don't have that we don't have that in Florida. So no.
Florida's
we don't do any of the cool stuff, you got to pay for that in college.
It was so generally I think there's teaching some semblance of right and wrong, like
morals. That's
morals.
What are we? Why are we here? What's the purpose of life? Like, shit like that. Because it gets people thinking. Like, why should I have to wait until college to start thinking about this stuff? I should be thinking about it way beforehand, especially because it's not like public school's free. We're paying for it.
Yes.
Like, I actually looked into this before COVID. It was like $10,000 per kid. Now it's $13,000 per kid.
Yeah, costs are going up and their funding is going down. It's real bad.
Does it make sense? So it's like, if we're paying for it, then like, why shouldn't we? If we were to put like a poll on parents and say and ask parents, hey, would you like philosophy to be taught to your kids? I'm pretty sure 75% are gonna be like, yeah. Why the fuck not?
I will say, so classes like philosophy teach, depending on what age group you're trying to teach it to, can be good or bad.
Middle school's a good time.
Once, and I remember that I thought I knew a lot of things that I definitely didn't know.
Middle school's a good time, though.
Middle school, I think it's a great introductory time.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the responsibility of a child's morality, that's a household responsibility. But
they talk to them about like sex in 6th grade. And in 7th grade.
You do sex ed and then general sexuality, because also it kind of follows the trend of what's popular. So in a few years, the rate incidence of how much that gets talked about will go down once it's not the hot ticket item anymore. There was a time when it was the thing that people were iffy about being talked about in school was whether or not it was okay to have white people and black people in school, and that was curriculum, or like it was talked about curriculum at the time. That wasn't but like 60 years ago. Maybe less.
It's crazy. That was not. That wasn't that long ago.
So it follows the time. It follows the popularity of the culture at the time. In another 5 to 10 years, it'll be a different thing. It'll be a different thing. Just the hot ticket of like, hey, I don't want them to talk about this in school anymore. I think that just because of the developmental stages of a child's life in mind, I don't think that I would want the the basic structures of morality being like, hey, like this is what this is what this means. I think that's okay to learn in a classroom setting, but I think that that's if we're expecting that to be done by teachers, I don't think as a parent, I don't think that's what I want. Because if I don't have the same beliefs that the teacher does, I don't think that that's I don't want to I wouldn't want that being impressed upon my kid or kids.
I mean, that's why you put a vote on it, just like how they put a vote on uniforms. Like, I don't know how it is how anywhere else, but in Florida, it used to be that you didn't have to wear a uniform.
Right.
And then they put it on a vote, and then the majority of parents were like, yeah, we prefer uniforms because they save a lot more money that way. You don't have to be like getting new clothes and shit for your kid. Everybody looks the same. So it could be the same way when it comes to the curriculum. At the end of the day, we're paying for it. So why can't we have the power as to what our kids are being taught?
Well,
do you guys have school choice? Because I know in Florida there's school choice.
Of like where the kid
where you can take the kid. Yeah. Do you have? Do you guys...
with me being active, active duty. There's also like there's a military version of that it's like, hey, I know I live in this part of town, but I really want my kid to go to this public school, so we can do that. It's kind of nice. Okay. Like, the kids my school go to is I like it. It's not the highest rated school, but my oldest daughter goes there, and it's just like it's a when you step into a school to like bring your kid there for the first time, and you get a good feeling about it, just like like on your insides, you're like, all right, this is a cool thing. I got a good vibe with all the teachers and the staff there, so I think that's cool. But back to voting on what's taught in the school. So even if we do vote on like, hey, I do want this, like we can say I want Bible 101 to be taught. But then you have to not only do you have to have some that be taught, and you then have to figure out a way to involve that into the curriculum, a way to regulate it, a way to make sure that it's right. Because you don't just want someone that's going in there that's not that isn't vetted, that isn't properly learned in the way of teaching or the subject they're teaching. I don't think I wouldn't want a guy teaching my kids physics that can't do basic long division. So you have to look at all those. But I think the great responsibility of religious teaching should fall at home, because that's where that's going to be nurtured the most, not in school. I think school's a great place to. Jackie actually sent me like a learning quiz for one of her classes the other day, and it just kind of goes through like it kind of like just shows you through asking these really weird and really fucking wordy questions that it's just mental masturbation. Whoever the fuck wrote those, they just wanted to use as many big words as possible to feel smart. But
God, no.
Look, yeah, it's bad. I'll ask her to send it to you, and you can go through it. And you're like, it's like these words together in a sentence mean nothing, but it kind of breaks down like how you think learning should be done in a school. And like the way when I took it, mine was like, you should learn the basics and build a foundation. That way, if a child does decide to go further in their educational career, that they can have a better base and foundation to go off of. There were some answers on there that some people do want philosophy and morality to be taught, but like when you have that on the table, you have to be like, all right, cool. Do I want my philosophy to be taught, or do I want philosophy in general? Do I want someone else's philosophy?
Like the basic, Plato's Republic, John Locke, the Aristotle, obviously in a basic sense because you're teaching kids, Yeah. But it's just things that they should know in advance. You shouldn't have to wait until you're a freaking adult to learn about Plato. Like, I didn't know what the hell that guy was and that's because I chose to study philosophy when I was doing politics. If it wasn't for me wanting to do that, I wouldn't have known who the hell Plato even was.
Yeah, it's for me, it's like I didn't get to. I don't believe there were some classes where like test questions would be like, hey, who was Plato? Like, what was his big thing? But it was more of just like I think kind of leaning honestly to what I said earlier, where it's just kind of like a base of like you're now aware that this knowledge is out there. So if you heard about that class and you want to go learn more about it, that you have that choice. Because like I'm still a big reader.
too.
I was a big reader as a kid in school. I would get in trouble in class for having my nose in the book. I'm like, well, at least I'm not setting anything on fire or jumping cars like I want to right now. So this is probably better than what I want to be doing. But I always had my nose in the book, just trying to like learn as much about like whatever my special or piqued interest was at the time. So like for a little bit, it was like the Odyssey, and then after that, I was like, I have to understand a lot of the Odyssey.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. I
Plato,
can't.
Aristotle, things
I
like
can't
that.
read the Odyssey.
Oh, it's such a good read.
I can't. Is it because they force me? You can't. Like, I'm not one of those people. If the minute you force me to read something, I'm gonna automatically tune out.
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
I can't. Like, they force me to read it, so I read it just to like get it out of the way, do an essay about it. All right, that's it. Don't ask me about it. I have no idea. I just know I read it because I remember reading and it said Odyssey on it, but don't ask me what it's about because I have no fucking clue.
Oh, I remember going into like seventh grade. They made me read like a John Grisham book, and he writes books that like pertain a lot of time like to the courts and like law and things like that. I'm like in seventh grade, you're making me read this book, which like from what everyone says, they're like these books are really good. I'm never gonna read one of his books out of choice ever, just because like how bad it was to try to get through that as a seventh grader that does not understand a lot of like nuance in the story. Which I would say that too is like there are a lot of things like when you're teaching philosophy to kids or trying to teach philosophy to kids, whether that be like school age kids or your high schoolers or your middle schoolers, if they don't have a good grasp on nuance and able to kind of tell, it's like if I say that it's like what was it the thing that we all made fun of when we were kids? It's like your English teacher asked you why that the curtains were blue in the book and why the author felt that was important to say, and like being able to kind of expound on that exercise.
Love that shit. I freaking love that. Oh my god, math is not my subject, so like anything that's like, why do you think this happened? And anything that's along those lines. Yes.
Those are
yes.
Fun. You can kind of explore and like
yes.
look around and talk to people. The best was like it happens in class and someone disagrees with what you thought it meant, and it's like, oh, you are mine for the next 39 minutes.
But that's the fun about it. But that's not really a thing that's happening in school. Like there's like the idea of giving the power to the parent in order for the parents to fund their kids' education is really what should be. Like if we were to tell all the parents, all right, the $13,000 that you guys all get, we're giving it back to you, and you guys get to decide how you want to manage that when it comes to your kids.
Yeah.
Whether it's homeschool, whether it's charter school, whether it's private school, but you get to make that decision. It shouldn't be the government making the decision for you, because you don't know what's best for my kid. I know what's best for my kid.
Yeah.
And I don't even have kids, but that's my mentality.
Well, that's exactly it. I think it is that the parents should have more decision, and therefore that's a good reason to not have it. Because as soon as it's in school and as soon as it's part of the curriculum, regardless of whether or not you vote on it, no change is going to happen for like 5 to 10 years or like 2 to 3 years. So if you get it in there, but then like the local populace changes, and they're like, hey, I actually don't want my kid to learn this. It's going to be your kid is still going to learn it, but like maybe the kids 5 years down the road won't have to.
Right.
So that would be a danger of trying to push those into school right now too, because if the cultural shift happens and that's not something that we want to focus on anymore, it will still be stuck there for a while before we're able to get it out of the curriculum.
Speaking of cultural shifts, I'm getting good at.
It looks like Jackie said something about.
I'm good at transitioning. What did Jackie say?
Yeah, you are. This is the culture shifts. Here's I think some parents that oppose it. We're growing up.
When a Christian private school can always look at two religious charter schools. Exactly.
Yeah, I do think I think if it's a very important thing for someone, I think the best answer would, instead of trying to push it into the public education system, would be like if you really want your kid to learn Christianity in school, you're going to have to either make monetary or personal sacrifices to make it happen.
Dude, it's expensive, bro. Yeah. Like, I did not know how expensive it was until my sister's friend. She said it was like $10,000 like I don't know if it's per 6 months or something. Like,
Yeah, I think like 10,000 for 6 months is fairly on par for most like the.
it's like,
Yeah,
what
it's
the
insane. I personally, I don't think there's a reason for the private schools like that to be K through 12, because you learn the same thing and then also Bible classes. It's like, yo, just take your kid to like Sunday service or Wednesday service, and you'll over the course of the kid growing up to high school age, you'll get there. I think private schools should just be like high school time, like or high school age.
yeah, like even middle school, but elementary
Yeah, I think
school, like. I don't know.
My fourth grader doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, middle school and high school, because middle school is a tough time. So definitely middle school and then high school, because at high school you're already doing dumb shit. So, and you know you're doing dumb shit. That's the worst part. I know I was one of those kids.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up, because you said cultural shift. In Florida, they banned a bunch of books about things that we didn't agree on. I'm totally for the book banning if it has to do with indoctrinating kids or grooming kids, then yes, because I've seen some of the books that they banned. And it.
Do you have some off the top of your head?
No, I don't. I saw it in person, but I don't have it on top of my head. There was sexual shit inside the book. You know,
I know one book that what was it? To some Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird is always on the book ban list, but some people say it's. I know in Oklahoma they didn't like it because they're like it kind of highlights the racism in the country or like in small areas, so that's why they don't want to talk about it. Because the easiest way to kind of put that behind you and is to be like, oh, we actually don't need to. If we just don't talk about this, then you won't find out that like I was one of the people that was at the thing where we were throwing bottles and trying to beat up the black kids coming into the white school. Because it's like I think people forget that like all of that happened within within your parents and your grandparents' lifetime. That wasn't a thing that was like 100 or so years ago. It's like they were there. You can find a picture of therapy. I had a friend who the picture of the black girl going to school. I think it was Alabama. But one of the guys in the crowd, Ruby Bridges. One of the guys in the crowd, he was like, it was like throwing, like one of the grown men jeering at like this poor little girl that's just, she's getting shuffled along. She's like, she's young at the time. After Brown versus Board, and he was like, my grandpa is that guy right there with a beer bottle in his hand, ready to throw it at a child. And it's like, I think a lot of some of those books, especially about the recent American history, is like, you don't want, it looks bad as a senator if you're. I
mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having that, because that's history, and history has a dark side to it, and you should know the dark side, of history, because if you don't, and then you start saying, well, why didn't they tell me this sooner? America's racist, know. So I definitely think that they should be teaching that at a younger age. That way you can start coming up with your own conclusions as you get older versus finding out everything later on. But what I'm talking about is not history. It's explicit things that they were putting into books in elementary schools, like kids sucking kids' dicks off type shit. And it was animated books. So it's like cartoons, because they're trying to make it for kids.
Is it like in that one book, The Lord of the Flies?
I don't know what the book was. I don't remember what it was called. I just remember seeing that and I was like, what the fuck is this? They should have banned this, yes.
Yeah, I think contextually would be important. I bet there were probably definitely some books that kids of certain ages shouldn't read I bet there's definitely some well intention behind that. But then other times it was like if you draw a line in the sand and say certain things like that, it's like then you couldn't have the Bible in schools because of certain passages and things that
right
there. There's this the book Lord of the Flies, which is about. Have you read that one or heard of it before? Quick summary: there's a plane or a boat or something that fucking crashes. A bunch of these young boys are on this island, and it's just kind of like an eye into like human depravity, even at like a young age. So it's like they kind of like King of the Hill. They split up into little factions. He's like, they're killing each other. There's a molestation or rape scene in there, and it's all just little. It's also similar to that show Fireflies that came out recently.
That sounds
Uh,
like Yellow Jackets.
yeah, Yellow Jackets. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's a
So
really
Lord of the
good
Flies
show.
was just Yellow Jackets, but it was in text instead of the thing. But I know they had some picture book version. It gets intense. I guess
I mean, that's
after
not,
book.
if you put that in high school,
High school,
why
middle
not,
school,
you
you kind
know?
of do it, but
But not elementary school, you know?
yeah,
Not
it
elementary school.
I think it was. I think I remember sometimes too. There were some people talking about the what was that stuff that they people were mad about being in schools that wasn't actually in schools yet. Um,
I don't know. When we were in school, we didn't have any of that this issues that were going on right now. So
no, when I went to school, the biggest issue was parents didn't want sex ed, but then parents also weren't teaching anything at home. So like it should be on us to
I
teach sex ed, and
I
they would.
definitely think sex ed should be in school because my
Yeah,
mom did not teach me any sex anything. Hispanics
there
don't. That's taboo as fuck. They don't talk about sex.
Yeah, there was a point in my high school career where I was teaching other kids that were older and younger than me what things were because I went to a Christian school, so all the parents were just like, "No, you don't need to learn about that. You can learn about that when you get married. That's not a great time."
No,
Especially because these kids aren't like they're not all these
they're
kids
not
aren't
gonna
gonna
wait
go to
until marriage.
exactly. These kids aren't all going to go to a Christian college and like stick. Some of them are. You want your kid to go to OU, OSU, or Mercy.
God, yeah, no,
So it's like, but it's like their parents are doing this disservice to the kids and just not teaching them
yes,
because they don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation.
that's
But
part of being a parent, though, right?
yeah, you have to be able to.
Yeah.
Like, hey, listen, this is it's going to be real fucking weird for about 15 minutes, but after that, I don't want to see you for 2 hours.
You can do whatever you want after we have this conversation.
So like I was teaching kids, I was in the back of like physics class teaching kids like how to properly like what a condom is, where to get them, what like different kinds are.
That's crazy, bro. They
What,
should have paid
where
you for that
someone should
shit.
go for birth control because their parents like you don't need to be on it. But it's like these are still high school kids and do high school kid things. I don't care if they're in a Christian school with a cross out front. They're still gonna do the same shit high school kids do.
Honestly,
It's like
aren't
don't
they
scare
more
kids.
sexually active because of
Yes,
how like
because they're trying to
oppressed they
compensate.
are? Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't make it's
It,
crazy how psychology is crazy like that. Like
yeah,
the
so
more
it's a
you
lot
tell
of that.
somebody not to do something, the more they do it.
100%. Yeah. You tell a kid, it's like, hey, don't go over there. The first thing you're doing, the first thing a kid's thinking about as soon as you're saying that, is like, why do I want to go over there? Now I want to go over there. I want to see what's over there right now. I'm
Yeah,
going over there.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jackie. She was like, so yeah, one of her, Sophie, one of her daughter's friends, got a scholarship to a Christian school, and saying that they still have to pay like over $1,200 a month, and
Sounds about right. Yep.
expensive. So
Yeah.
those are expensive, but it's. I think that would be a if if someone wants that in school, that's probably the price you have to pay for it. Is like you're gonna have to.
I mean, I'm assuming the quality of the education itself. I mean, aside from the Bible study stuff,
Mm.
obviously, but it's better because you're paying
Yeah,
more. I'm
as
assuming.
I will say that generally, kids that go to private school can do some, or a lot of times will do better. But the downside of that, the dark side, is that they don't get the social education from being in a public school. So they go, you
Yeah.
put them you put them, you give them an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. Because like they're not going to be able to. I was so fucking weird, and I didn't know it. But I spent a lot of my free time interacting with public school kids because I had to drive across town to go to the school the private school I was going to. But all my friends were still in the public schools, um, and it was like
Oh, okay. So, okay, you are an awkward, and what, an introvert?
yeah, you're right, yeah. Well, I'm a, like extroverted introvert. I can yap with the best of them in any situation. That's Jackie. Plot me somewhere in a store. I'll talk to old men and
Yeah,
women
she was
for two
telling me
hours.
the other day. She's like, he's like you, and I was like, yeah,
Who doesn't love a good yap like in the grocery run? It's just great. But yeah, this is Gerald. We're talking about the best way to structure these wood support beams for like when we're building fences, and we're just talking like an hour in like aisle 6 of Home Depot. It's great. I love it.
Americans are like that though. Hispanics, you try to talk to them, and they're like looking at you like, what are you
Yeah,
doing? Like,
yeah,
leave me alone.
yeah. I kind of miss when I kind of liked. I feel like people are less friendly in public now than they used to be. Like used to be like give the head nod, give the hi, how are you? Now it's like, well, I'll still like do the head nod or hey, how's your day going? Like and sometimes people are like oh, what the fuck? I'm like, you're a person. I'm a
Yeah,
person. We're
after
people.
COVID, I feel like people got more
A lot worse.
inhumane. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Oh, but
sure.
back to the book ban thing. I think it's so at certain points. I think there should be a bigger look at it. But I know a lot of the people that are pushing the books to be on the book ban list are not doing their due diligence or providing a reason for why they don't like it. So sometimes a lot of people are unfortunately, you'll have someone that does not live in a state that just moved there. That a lot of times, especially like that's why I say local elections are important. Same thing for even at like school and PTO level, because you'll have someone that essentially elects themselves to the board for like a school and then gets to make the complaints to try to get books off, and like that person doesn't even live in the fucking county. There are instances of that here in North Carolina. I think we've done a decent job of running them the fuck out. Because it's like, you don't even go here, get out.
Oh my god, that's from Mean Girls. Did you do that on purpose? That's awesome. You don't even go here.
I have some white lady from from Minnesota down here trying to tell me what my kids can do in school. I'll beat your ass in the parking lot. What do you mean?
That's funny. That was funny. So I actually wanted to hit that. Okay, so I remember asking you that I wanted to talk to you about since I know you're an Oreo. I mean, I am too, but like I'm Cuban, so it's like different, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe that America is systematically racist? Dun 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 dun!
I would say categorically yes, and you can see it in the way that things are processed. I do think that it's changing for the better. It takes a long time to change it, because like I said earlier, it's like 60 years ago, my dad could not be in the same room or same school as my mom. And that's insane to think about.
I was going to ask you which one was black. Okay, so your dad's black.
My dad's black, my mom's white. It was like my grandfather who passed recently, he had to go to an all black school. So it was like that's a systemic thing. So just because it's like that's no longer an overt thing does not mean that that's gone now, because you'll still have, especially issues like with the police systems, which I think is less of an issue with the police system and more of an issue with the prison system, because they turn it, just like many things in America, they turn into a business
profit. Yeah, but it's been like that for a very long time.
It's been like that for a long time. Doesn't mean that we should not put those people in a wood chipper.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And fix it. But so I think that like if you can look back within 50 years and be like, there was a law that I had to drink out of a different water fountain, then I think it's easy to be like, yeah, systematically we still have a bunch of issues, or systemically we have a bunch of issues. But it is getting better. It just takes time, but it's also sometimes. I understand, because I didn't know I was half black for the longest time, because of, again, grew up in Oklahoma, and the way my family decided to not tell me. I didn't know my middle name until I graduated high school.
That's wow. All right.
Because of just the intense, some of the intense issues between my mom and dad that were caused by my grandparents. Love them to death. But they were him being a black guy when he showed up to like the delivery room or the hospital. Like my grandma's first action was to like clutch her purse, like he was gonna take it. It's like, so like that was a normal reaction at that time for something like that, for like a fairly well-to-do, not well-to-do. She was a teacher, so like, but like not in a poorhouse or anything, like very middle class. White lady, black guy walks around, it's like, oh, it's like that's a problem. Like you'll still see some of that happen today. It's getting better. I firmly believe it. I firmly believe it's getting better. Still bad. There's still a lot of, honestly, for no fucking reason, like hate, racial hate.
I mean, but that's taught though. It's not like it's not like you're born with that. You're not born being racist.
No one is taught with hate in their heart. But no one's born with hate in their heart.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? And it's totally taught. That's just built over time through trauma and shit.
So, but you'll have people that do. It's like you can be told in the most polite way by someone that's like, hey, your kind isn't welcome here. But they're not going to say it that way. They're going to be like, hey, so this is a gated community. You really need to be able to be on the list here. You go to apply for things that, hey, you're not really what we're looking for here. So like there are definitely things that it may not be law, but it's cultural. and it can vary from place to place. Like in Oklahoma, it's real bad, but here in North Carolina, it's a nice even mix. There's still like our areas where it's a problem. You can drive down the highway and see a Confederate flag. It's like I think it's like 60 foot by 60 foot flying. It's like around that area. Maybe I don't stop at night, but but then there are other parts where it's a melting pot. And it's fine, like it should be with Americans, because at the end of the day, we're Americans. So if I don't like when people would turn into like it's like these black people or these Mexicans or these, it's like no, we're fucking American at the end of the day.
I was my dog's finally is here, so he's like super needy right now.
Oh, it's a puppy.
I know. Just stop it, Jesus Christ, he's so needy. He has mamitis. I don't know if you know what that means. It means like I don't know, mom-itis. Yeah, that's what that means.
Separation anxiety. He was outside for so long. You abandoned him outside. He misses you.
he's with Laz. It's not like he's by himself. Like fucking.
You abandoned him for so long with Laz, and now he just misses you.
God. We got like a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna wrap up with you. But I wanted to touch on this because there's a documentary that came out that I recommend you and Jackie to watch. It's called "Am I Racist?" by Matt Walsh. And it shows how like whites have really been brainwashed to believe that they are so privileged that they have to remove their whiteness. They've literally made courses, and people are obviously leeching off of like stupid white people who have fallen into this trap. And so to me, and there's black people who now feel like entitled, right? And they're like, oh, you know, your ancestors did whatever they did to my ancestors, so now you owe me. And that's where the whole reparations thing is going on, which I don't agree with. We can talk on that before I wrap up. Yeah. But I come from another country, so like obviously my perspective is different, but like people are going to be prejudiced regardless, you know?
Yeah, there's always going to be something there.
Right. So like
people suck.
Yeah, like you can't use people don't like me because of my skin color as a reason to not succeed in life. And that's where I think this whole systematic racism is, to me, it's like an oppressive mentality. It's like, okay, because of my skin color and because of what happened to my ancestors in the past, I can't push forward because the white man doesn't let me, you know? And to me, that's just a reason for you to not do anything with your life. And to me, that has nothing to do with your skin color, but have everything to do with your lack of character building, really. Because in my country, there's more blacks than anything. Yep. In Cuba, it's filled with blacks, and they see themselves as any other white Cuban, and we're a third world country. Like, we don't have the resources that America has. So how is it possible that in my country, there's no racism at all? Because we're just trying to fucking survive. And then here, we have so much resources, and then people are, like, picking at the fact that, I couldn't get this job because I'm black and this person got it because she's white. No, maybe it's because she was better at the fucking job than you were. It has nothing to do with your skin color, you know?
And I think people definitely do give themselves, they'll erect a wall for themselves and that wall that they've erected is the reason based off of whatever perceived slight or injustice is that, like, hey, I can't get over this wall. It's like, you put it there.
Exactly.
Right. I will say I don't think I'd ever say that doesn't happen anywhere. Like, because it definitely does happen. There's documented stuff. You'll have like an audio recording of someone afterwards, like, this guy coming here in fucking black and thinks he can get a goddamn job. What an idiot. This is a white only workplace. And it's like, so these things do happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not as widespread as think it is. It's like the same way I look at my favorite podcast for entertainment. It's called it was called Fuckface, and the parent company shut down, and then now the company's called The Regulation Podcast.
They should have kept the name. That was good. That was good branding.
The parent company shut down, so they had to change it to keep it going because I don't know. I I'm a paramedic. I don't know law stuff. That's not me.
It's all right. It's all right.
They have they were like there's two kinds of people that listen that watch that consume entertainment. You have comment leavers and you have regulation listeners, so people that will just consume the content and yada yada. Anyone that leaves a comment on something, it's not weird, but it's not normal to like be like to watch. Imagine like watching something and then emailing like the producer like, hey, I really didn't like that this thing was like that's so fucking weird. So a lot of times the people that will go out and like kind of spread the beliefs of like these weird political one-offs or cultural one-offs are comment lever people, and it's sometimes it's like they're the loudest people. You hear the most from those people, but a lot of times those people are being a minority. It's the same way for like people that being a Star Wars nerd. That was that show Acolyte that came out recently that got review bombed by a bunch of people that don't like that there are women in the company or in Star Wars that there's like a black guy in the last movie. I wish I was joking, but there were people that didn't watch the show that were talking about how shitty it was, and it was like, oh, okay, well, what do you think about this episode? Oh, I'm not watching that shit. I'm like, then shut your goddamn mouth.
Yes.
So the same thing happens with stuff like this. Like you'll have people that will give themselves a wall and be loud and indignant about it, but realistically, there may be a wall there, but it's definitely not the one that they have in front of them.
Yes.
It may be a couple feet high.
Right.
It's not a 7-foot brick wall.
Right. Yeah. And then it's all mental. It's crazy. Yeah. It's all freaking mental.
That goes for a lot because I've had growing up. I've had on one side of the family. I have it one way where it's like, oh, I can't get a job because of all these. I can't get a job because the Mexicans or these black people or like this fucking Korean took over the Chinese food industry at the gas station, and now I can't get a job. Like, oh, okay, did you apply? Well, no, because I can't get one. Go apply, and you'll have the same thing where you have like it's like I can't get a job because I'm black, and like these people are just like, did you apply there? I did apply there, and they turned me down. Why did they turn me down? I wasn't qualified. I didn't have the certifications they require. But some people, not a lot of people not enough people are brave enough to admit why something didn't go their way. Most people will make an excuse.
Yes.
And make it not their fault.
Yep. That's easier.
Left, right, and in the middle of the aisle.
Yeah.
That'll happen more times than not. So it's easier to be like, oh, I didn't get this job because of this guy. Or I didn't succeed because this is keeping me down. It was the white man's keeping me down. It's these fucking immigrants I can't get out. This is the reason this happens. A lot of times that's not it. There's a lot of times there's more to the issue, or it's just simple like I didn't get that job because my resume looks like shit because I haven't put the time into it.
Yeah, that's usually it. That's usually it.
Yeah, and it's like the immigrant got the job because his resume looked amazing because he had the drive to get that together to do what he needs to do to take care of his family. You're looking for a gig, and your resume is a half page.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
not organized. So it's like you see the other way too. It's flip flop for you can insert whatever cultural identities and flip flop them, and it's the same every time. People just suck.
Yes, they do. But honestly, this is why I'm doing this podcast. I mean, actually, I was told to do this like 3 years ago, but there's confidence, and then there's like, oh, do you know everything? And then I realized that you don't fucking need to know everything. You just need to do it, and then you'll learn as you go. So that's why I'm doing this, because I want more people to come on, people like you that like a lot about just medic stuff and about military stuff. I want to talk to more lefties like my best friend Jackie. Anybody that's willing to like actually come on and talk, because we need more of this. That way people don't realize that it's not like an echo chamber and people are just like polarized and divided, that we're actually like you just said that you're more a Democrat, right? I am Republican, but I became Republican actually this year. I was always independent. I just made that decision because I feel like you need to stand for something, and being independent means you don't stand for anything. So I made that decision recently. But we had a whole conversation, got along. You gave your perspective, I gave my perspective, and we have totally different viewpoints on both. So that's what people need to see. That it's not just, left and right, always bickering and always hating each other. That's not really how it is. It's just what the media wants people to think.
I'm excited for one way or another after this next election. We don't have to worry about like one guy running afterwards, regardless of who wins or loses this next one. Don't have to worry about it happening again, just because you'd only get to go twice. Some people are lucky enough to go once. Some people are lucky enough to get it 2 times. Regardless, I think once this one is over and the next 4 years go by, that we can slowly go back to how we had it. I was younger when I watched it, but I watched the McCain and Obama debates.
Yeah, me too.
Back in the day, and just how polite and the amount of respect and love they had for each other, just for the other person across the aisle, and bringing that back, because I do feel like there's a lot right now that's just, my policy is the opposite of this guy's policy. Whoever on that guy on that side of the aisle, I want whatever he doesn't want.
Right.
And that's it. That's the
and that's it. Yeah.
And you'll have I think once we can kind of shift away, and that's being stoked. I think it's definitely being stoked by I think that's stoked by one side a little more than the other. Probably feel similar, but probably the opposite way. But it's
we'll definitely have that conversation next Sunday.
Yeah.
To let
I'm
Jackie
excited.
in on that.
I think that once like this little this jaunt is over, we can slowly slide back to where things are just like it'll be less of media attention grabbing and more of just like people doing work. Politics is supposed to be fucking boring and bureaucratic and not exciting, and it should not be 7 days of news coverage for things happening. Politics should be like, hey, okay, we're getting this bill done to take care of this issue that we as a country or we as a state or we as a county have, or we as a city or township have. It should not be as exciting as it is right now, and I'm excited for one way or another it to not be so fucking exciting, because it's not supposed to be. The job is supposed to suck, because being a public servant is a sacrifice to do more for your fellow Americans.
It is a sacrifice.
And I'm excited to, one way or another, get back to that. I don't care how we get there. I do care how we get there, but I just want to I want to get back across that finish line, because I want to get to the point where when my girls are grown up and they're going to vote and watching things, they're not watching people yell and scream and talk about how much the other person sucks. I want them to see the candidates talking about issues that we have, and solutions for, not just issues that we have, but solutions for those. And I don't think right now we're getting that.
Yeah.
And that's not just at the high level, that's all the way up and down. I've seen a lot of that happening. So I would like to I want it to come back so badly. I want to not hear about anything going on from a fucking elected official for so long.
That makes one of us, at least, because I can't relate there. It's just, I don't think it's ever gonna go back. Things are gonna just, I don't know if it's gonna get worse, but I don't think it's gonna go back.
It can always get worse.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it doesn't, but
it can always get worse.
You know,
at the very least that it stays right here.
There's too much independent media right now for that to even happen. Like if we were talking back then when it was just national television, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. But that's not a thing anymore.
Now you can see a lot more things that are happening on the, like, not just the main shop. You can see what's happening on the left.
Yeah, and there's podcasts now. So now podcasters are also getting involved. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Definitely, I'm gonna be literally live on November 5th, just watching it, unfold. Going, fucking.
I remember when Trump got elected back in. When did he? That was 16.
2016.
2016. I went to bed and it was like, oh, Hillary won, cool. And then I woke up and like Trump was about. I was like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird year.
Yeah, I didn't vote for anybody, so this will be technically my first year where I actually vote for a party. So
well, there you go.
Yeah,
it's important. I think it's a privilege and responsibility. I always tell people, I don't care who you're voting for, but I want you to go and vote and make the little bit that we can do on our level.
Yeah, because at least you
happen.
take a stand, versus not taking one and then you complain afterwards, and it's like, well, you
The
didn't
most
vote.
annoying is people that don't vote, but then like are so loud about it. It's like, dude, fuck you. You don't even.
Shut up!
You don't
Didn't you put your 2 cents
vote.
into it, bro? You didn't wait in
Yeah.
line to fucking cast your vote. No, I did vote in 2016. I didn't vote 2020, but I did vote 2016. But I didn't vote for any of them. I voted for Ron Paul, so it doesn't
Oh,
count.
you're one of those.
It doesn't count, I like Ron Paul. He was cool peeps. He was a cool senator.
Well, at least you like didn't do what like some of my friends did, like write in Harambe on the fucking ballot.
There's people that wrote Kanye and shit. That's wild.
my fucking
I'm like,
God,
what are you
that's
retarded?
so annoying.
You're like, you waited in line to fucking do that. You're retarded.
to make a joke.
Damn it! I just said okay, whatever. You see what I'm saying? I had to tell you, and I'm the one who said it. It's hard. It's hard. I'm learning how to censor myself, even though I don't agree with censorship.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, yes. You did great though. You didn't do it at all the entire time. God, it's like when you're in Miami, it's
I didn't have any hard R's. I didn't have any soft A's. I didn't have.
this guy. He had a whole list. Cameron, you were amazing. Thank you so much for doing this with me and for joining next Sunday. Guys, he's going to be here next Sunday with Jackie. I don't know what we're going to talk about then, but we'll figure it out when the time comes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for serving, because it's not an easy job, and you're doing it for me. You're doing it for everybody that was watching, so I appreciate you.
I really appreciate that. This was fun. I've never done anything like this before, so this is cool.
And
This is really cool.
and we're going to do it next Sunday, so, you'll...
All right, I'll be ready.
Yes.